Broadcasting from deep within the heartland of free America, where liberty still shines bright. You're listening to On the Move with Mac Worley III.
Hello, MacPack. I'm really excited about today's show. We've got a lot of stuff that we're going to get to. By the way, my name is Mac Worley III. I'm the host of On the Move. This is the show that attempts to inspire you to stand up for your rights. Got a lot of stuff we're going to be getting into. First and foremost, I want to talk about LaVoy Finicum, some questions surrounding his untimely demise. As you all are aware, he was gunned down by the FBI around Burns, Oregon, after going away from that refuge on his way into town. And there are now some questions surrounding it. And also, let me just get down to it here. LaVoy Finicum's wife, his widow, spoke at a Utah rally. She says that her husband was murdered. Prosecutors are trying to seek protective orders for the evidence surrounding the case. I also want to get into some political news here. Ben Carson has endorsed Donald Trump, and I'm curious what you all have to say about this. Do you believe, especially you Ben Carson supporters, do you believe that this is a betrayal against you for your guy, your candidate, the guy that you preferred, supporting Donald Trump? Do you think that they're ideologically consistent? We're going to get into that. Also, Hillary Clinton, she says that she will not deport illegal immigrants. We're going to cover all of that. Then I want to move to Donald Trump's rally in Chicago, how it was shut down by the MoveOn.org, and I want to give you guys some analysis on that, as well as play a clip from Donald Trump speaking on Fox News today with Chris Wallace. He spoke, again, that was this morning, the 13th of March, talking about all sorts of things, ranging from the violence that's been happening at his events, how the event in Chicago was shut down, his policy on Syria, how he's now talking about possibly sending 20 to 30,000 American soldiers into Syria, boots on the ground soldiers, and he talks about Islam as well. We're going to cover that. In addition, and this is not the last thing that we have. We got a whole bunch of other political news. But I want to talk specifically to those people who are concerned about Ted Cruz. And I have my own concerns. Again, I don't endorse a candidate. I can vote for Ted Cruz in this GOP race. He's the only one out of the ones that are running right now that I can see myself voting for, because I object to many policy positions from the other candidates that I look at as deal breakers. There are things that I just can't do. I can't put my name down for a candidate who supports these things. I'm no longer going to play deal maker with these guys. I'm not playing the establishment game. I'm not just going to do what I did with McCain and with Mitt Romney and just say, oh, well, it's better than a Democrat. No, I'm no longer doing this. I'm voting with my conscience. You guys can do what you want, but this is what I'm saying. So to those of you out there who are concerned about Ted Cruz and his wife's connections with Goldman Sachs and his wife's connections with the Council on Foreign Relations, I have a clip of Ted Cruz actually discussing this, and I'm just curious, does this alleviate any of your concerns? Because I think it's a pretty good clip. We'll get to all of this much more. Also, there's some other things I'd like to get to, like we have Raven Simone from the I forget what leftist show that is, The View, I think. Yeah, The View. She's talking about how Clinton is untrustworthy not because of the FBI investigation, not because of all of her lies, not because of the Clinton brand, how tainted it is, not because she essentially uses the Clinton Foundation as a tax haven for all of the money that they've made, that they can write it all off and then claim to be poor. Not because of all of those things. No. It's only because of the Bible. Yes, we'll get to that. Then I got a bunch of other stuff, like some weird things like the establishment games that are going on right now. How Rubio is urging his voters to back John Kasich in Ohio. Lots of the world is upside down. If we got time, I want to talk about Russia, how they've threatened North Korea over their threats of their use of threats about nuclear strikes, and I got lots and lots more to go on with here. But for you guys, first of all, I just want to say thanks so much for tuning in. You guys, I really do appreciate it. MagPack, tip of the spear. You are the reason why we do this show. And I wanted to do something for you all. I really appreciate it. The fact that you guys tune in week after week. By the way, for those of you who are new, we broadcast every Sunday at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. That's 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time at our website, OnTheMoveShow.com, or you can check us out live on Spreaker, Spreaker.com/OnTheMoveShow. All of our shows are archived on Spreaker as well, FYI. But I wanted to do something for you guys, so I got together with my wife, who's a graphic designer, by the way, and we made these original T-shirts for you guys. They're limited time only, limited edition T-shirts. It's the Bear Arms series T-shirts on our. It's on our campaign on T-Chip, so it's TEECHIP.com. T-Chip. /OnTheMoveShow. You can go there, see our Bear Arms design. It's got a bear with the word arms on it, and it's pretty. I thought it was pretty awesome. This is my wife's original design, by the way. She came up with this all by herself. I thought it was awesome, and I wanted to offer it to you guys. So this is only available, FYI, only available for the next 8 days, and then it's going to be gone. So if you want it, you should act now. Otherwise, you may miss out. We may bring it back later, depending on if there's popular demand for it or not. But if you guys are interested and you would like to get it, again, that's T-Chip. TEECHIP.com /OnTheMoveShow. Anyway, we're going to go ahead and cut to a commercial break. When we come back, we're going to start diving right into the news. So you guys don't want to go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Oath Keepers is a nonpartisan association of current active duty military, reserve, guard, veterans, peace officers, and firefighters who will fulfill the oath we swore, with the support of like-minded citizens who take an oath to stand with us, to support and defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. So help us God. Join us at oathkeepers.org.
Support On The Move. Help us make this podcast bigger and better. You can do this by going to our store and purchasing one of our hundreds of products. All designs are original and made for patriots like you. Just go to cafepress.com /OnTheMoveShow. We appreciate your support. Hi, I'm Latasha Worley, and I work with candidates to creatively and effectively communicate their message to voters. I offer professional graphic design services, from yard signs to flyers, from logos to vehicle magnets. Email me today at latashaworley@gmail.com. That's LATOSHA Worley@gmail.com for a quote on items for your campaign.
Broadcasting from deep within the heartland of free America, where liberty still shines bright. You're listening to On the Move with Mac Worley III.
Alrighty, we're back. So we are going to dive right into our featured topics today. So let's start with LaVoy Finicum's death. I told you guys that I have a clip here of LaVoy Finicum's wife talking about the murder of LaVoy Finicum. This is at a Utah rally. I'm going to go ahead and play the clip for you guys so you can hear it straight from her. And keep in mind, this is a fresh event that happened with her, and I'm sure the emotions are supercharged. I know it would be if I was in her situation. So anyway, here she is.
The day that my husband LaVoy was murdered, assassinated by our government, they had been invited by Sheriff Palmer to speak to the citizens in his county in the city of John Day. This is what I know about the ambush. 1, they were stopped. They placed their hands and their heads out of the window to show that they were unarmed. letting them know that there were women in the truck. 2, shots were fired at them, missing all of them. Then 3, Ryan Payne was taken into custody. 4, LaVoy continues with his hands and head out of the car, out of the truck, and he is yelling at them that he is going to the sheriff's in John Day for protection. Number 5, they fire upon the truck again, and that is when LaVoy leaves for protection in the neighboring county. That is why he leaves. He leaves not knowing that just up ahead, they have set up a kill stop for him. Some have wondered why he tried to go around that kill stop. I haven't. I know my husband. He had 2 seconds to decide what he was going to do. He had 3 choices. 1, he could turn to the right and wreck the vehicle, and everybody inside the vehicle would be injured or killed. 2, he could go forward and plow into those officers who were there in that kill stop, and then he would be responsible for killing them or himself and others in the truck. Or 3, he could choose the less risky, less dangerous direction, and that was to turn to the left into the 3 foot of snow.
So she says more, and I want to continue playing what she says. But I completely agree with her. First of all, this is a split-second decision that LaVoy had to make when he was coming around a blind turn. And, again, I've already mentioned in the past on previous episodes my issues with the fact of how they did this. This is obviously anyone who knows anything about law enforcement whatsoever, even the general public, should have a pretty good idea that one of the most dangerous jobs that any law enforcement officer has is a traffic stop. So the whole idea that they would try to take them down, to arrest them in a traffic stop, is ridiculous. If you're trying to actually avoid the loss of life, that is simply ridiculous. Secondly, I believe that they were lured, or at least the FBI used the information that they were going. And by the way, the FBI, we already know that they're using tactics like planting spies within these kind of patriot movements. They're actually planting FBI undercover agents to gain information and infiltrate. I mean, this is ridiculous. But anyway, they stop him in a traffic stop, and obviously not the way that you would go about it if you were looking to protect and preserve life, to prevent the loss of life. But secondly, they set this up around a blind curve, and they gave the man essentially 2 seconds to decide what he was going to do. Are you going to slam on the brakes and maybe lose control? There was snow on the ground out there. Obviously, there's probably ice on the road. The road could be slick. I don't know the weather conditions. I wasn't there other than what I can see in the video. But what I can tell you, if I'm going 70 miles per hour down a road and all of a sudden I turn a corner and I see cop cars completely blocking the road, she is absolutely right. You have to make one of a few decisions. And I think out of the decisions that LaVoy could have made, he picked the one that was the safest, driving his car off to the left into the snow. She goes on.
Stopped the truck, and everyone in it was still safe. I know that he was constantly thinking of the safety of others because he valued life. I know that as he immediately exited the truck with his hands in the air, which was clear to see, that he was again thinking of others. I know that when he left that truck with his hands in the air, that he again was trying to divert attention away from the people they cared about in the truck to himself. thereby having all of the officers that were clearly there in wait, in the trees, in the brush, to focus their attention on him. I had been told by Sheriff Palmer of John Day that he had requested that day that they come unarmed. It has been testified by others that they indeed did de-arm themselves before they left for that gathering in John Day, where the people were waiting to hear again about the Constitution and our rights as citizens. There may have been something in the back end of the truck, but they had no weapons on their person. I believe that as LaVoy exited the truck with his hands in the air, I believe that he was probably shouting, "If you have to shoot somebody, shoot me. Just go ahead and shoot me." I can see my husband doing that.
And from the video, which was now released, remember I told you all last week that the passengers inside the video, inside the car, were rolling video, and that had not been released before the episode last week. And believe it or not, surprisingly, this video has reached the light of day. It has actually gotten out. So the video, there's now video synced up from inside the car to the aerial footage from whatever it was, a drone or a helicopter that was taking footage around the area. It's now synced up, and we can actually see what was going on inside the vehicle. And I'll play that for you in a moment. But we do know that when he came out of the vehicle, he's actually, you know what? I'll let you hear it for yourself, because we're going to play it anyway. So let's go ahead and finish what she has to say.
As he left, and he's running in that snow with his hands in the air, I believe that when you see him reach in is when he was first shot. And I believe that when he put his hands back up in the air immediately, empty, he was continuing to show them he was no threat to anyone. And again, when he reaches back to his body, I believe he was shot a second time. And I believe that again, he raised his hands empty to show he was not armed.
This is my belief as well, based on what I've seen in the video. Now, again, I'm not one to instantly call conspiracy. I'm not one to instantly deny evidence when I see it right in front of me. But what I can clearly see in the video is he does reach down to his left side. His hands were immediately up in the air. Right before that, when he got out of the vehicle, his hands were up in the air. Then it goes down to his what I think is his left side. So if you're facing him, your right side, and it goes there quickly, and then comes back up. From what I remember of the video, we're going to play it again. So I'm going to comment on what I'm seeing. I'm going to talk about it, and we're going to make some correlations. Also, like I said, I got some stuff from investigations on this incident as well. So let's go ahead and first let's talk about this. I got a Coin6 article here, KOIN.com, off of Coin6 News. This article is dated March 7th, 2016. It's written by, I don't see it. Don't see who wrote it. The article is titled "Investigators: 3 of 6 shots fired by OSP struck Finicum." So this is, let's see, the article says, the Oregon State Police troopers who shot and killed LaVoy Finicum were justified in doing so. Deschutes County Sheriff Shane Nelson and Malheur County District Attorney Dan Norris announced during a press conference on Tuesday morning. Police fatally shot Finicum January 26th during a traffic stop. Again, I've told you, not the way that you would want to do it if you're trying to have the least confrontation in a situation as possible, especially if you know he's already on his way to go talk to a sheriff. Anyway, the article continues. The traffic stop while trying to arrest the rancher and others involved in the takeover of the Malheur National Wildlife Refuge. During the press conference, DA Norris said 8 shots total were fired. 6 of which came from OSP and 2 by FBI hostage rescue team operators. 3 of the 6 bullets fired by OSP hit and killed Finicum. Sheriff Nilsen said Shauna Cox, who was in the car with Finicum, Victoria Sharp, and Ryan Payne took video from inside the car. Investigators synchronized her video with the FBI footage. Officials showed video from both the FBI and Cox explaining to members of the media exactly what happened as Finicum was stopped and then fled. So I've got the video. I'm going to go ahead and play it for you. I believe it's several minutes long here. So I'm going to there's going to be a period of time when they're driving up to the roadblock, and I'm gonna fast forward a little bit through there. I don't want to fast forward through too much because I don't want you to miss this. But I want to give you guys the opportunity to hear the tension in this scene, and you can clearly hear everything that's being said inside this vehicle. So I'm just gonna go ahead and play it. Here we go.
Shoot me, you shoot me. I'm gonna meet the sheriff. The sheriff is waiting for us.
This is at the initial stop. When they are first stopped, they have FBI roll up behind them and pull them over. They essentially just parked in the middle of the road. But the FBI stops them, and they're having this conversation, yelling out the window to them. So here we go.
So you do as you damn well please. But I'm not going anywhere. Here I am, right there.
This is the voice of LaVoy, by the way.
Right there, put a bullet through it. You understand? I'm going to go meet the sheriff. You back down or you kill me now. Go ahead. Put the bullet through me. I don't care.
Where's Ryan?
I'm going to go meet the sheriff. You do as you damn well please.
What for?
Well, I'm going to ask them if they want to go out.
What for? Why are we getting
You want out?
What for? What are we getting out?
Who are you? Yeah, who are you? Who are you? Who are you?
They said they're the Oregon State Police.
Oregon State Police.
Okay, well, I'm going over to meet the sheriff in Grant County. You'll come along with us, and you can talk with us over there. You can go ahead and shoot me. You put the laser right there, put the bullet through the head. Okay, boys, this is going to get real. You want my blood on your hands? Get it done, because we got people to see and places to go. No, I don't. You need to back off. You need to back off.
Where in the heck is Ammon?
People have...
You shouldn't have ever stopped.
Did Ammon?
You're wasting oxygen, son.
Where they got a...
What? Oh, did they have Ryan? Did they arrest him?
You shouldn't have got out.
He shouldn't have got out.
I'm not turning over. I'm going into Day County.
Well,
I'm going into Grant County to see the sheriff.
Well, if we duck and you drive, what are they going to do? Try to knock us out? How much further we got to go?
To shoot your tires.
We got about 50 miles.
Okay. Tell them to approach the vehicle.
Okay.
And Ryan's talking to him, right?
Okay.
Is he talking to him?
I can't tell.
I can't even see him except the guy behind the door that's got his gun on us. Say we have kids in here.
We hold each other.
Okay, who can we call?
I don't have service.
I call.
Here, turn that down.
Okay.
Where's my phone?
Hey, boys, you better realize we got people on the way. You want a blood bath? It's going to be on your hand. We're going to go see the sheriff.
Call Joseph Rice.
Better understand how this thing's going to end.
What's the number?
I'm going to be laying down here on the ground with my blood on the street, or I'm going to go see the sheriff.
You don't have any.
We got people en route.
Now, if you hear what he's saying, he's not threatening them in this instance. When he's saying there's going to be a bloodbath, he's not saying that he's going to be the one to kill anyone. He's saying that they're going to be the one to kill him, which, oddly enough, is exactly what happened. You know, this situation could have been resolved. Honestly, even if they did this situation, it's not like he's got anywhere to go. They can honestly, if I would... Now, granted, I'm probably not the most unbiased arbiter in the situation, but if I was in that situation, and I understand that the police don't think like this, they think you will comply or you will die. I understand that. That's the mindset. That you will comply or they will use the maximum or the maximum amount of force that they have to use. You know, so if you resist in any way, they will continue to raise the stakes until you do. And if you never do, it could lead to your death. This is what happened with LaVoy. So if I was behind him, if I was the police officers in this situation, there's no need to start shooting. You know, I would make sure that my stuff didn't stink. You know, I'd make sure that this whole thing would always pass the smell test. I would make sure that my guys were completely protected. I'd keep them behind the vehicles. I'd keep them out of harm's way. And if he would not stop, if I was trying to apprehend or arrest this guy, and he wouldn't stop, I would just follow him over to the sheriff's. I mean, I know that sounds weak from a police perspective, but again, if you're actually interested in protecting life, I don't see how that could end badly. You know, you actually follow them all the way over to the sheriff there, and you guys have a nice talk. And if you need to arrest him, you talk to the sheriff, say, "Hey, here's my warrant for his arrest, or here's why we're arresting him. He's gonna go. He can fight it in trial." You know, and again, this is kind of the same thing I say all the time when you are faced with arrest. Even if you feel it is unjust and unlawful, the police, they can do whatever they want. I mean, they can arrest you for no reason at all. Like, I don't know, trespassing on a public sidewalk. They can arrest you for any reason whatsoever, and you may beat the charge, but you will take a ride. You're either going to go away in the back of their car, or you're going to go away in the back of a morgue van. You know, this is just the way things are. And yeah, it's not fair, but it is the way things are. And I would like to see, especially, you know that these people are not a danger to society. Let's use a little, and I hesitate to say the word, let's use a little common sense. You know, these guys aren't terrorists. They didn't even blow up the federal building. They occupied it. Yeah, they had arms. They had weapons. There's nothing against that. There's no laws that prevent that. They've done nothing illegal. So the idea that you can't simply just follow them to the sheriff's office, kind of de-escalate the situation. Now, I know from having law enforcement experience in the military, we had a use of force module, a little chart showing like at what levels of force, you know, when this person does this, your appropriate responses are these and below. You're not, if they only do this one thing, you know, if they're resistive passive, or you can't just start shooting them in the face. You know, if they're resistant active, meaning they're starting to fight you and actually swing at you and things like that, then you can only do these things. You know, if this is how the use of force module was set up. And the beautiful thing about this use of force module is that it had double-sided arrows. That meant that it could escalate or de-escalate with any situation. And you, as an officer, are supposed to try to de-escalate the situation. If a situation gets crazy, you know, you can try to calm it down. But pulling out a gun and shooting at a guy, not probably the best way to de-escalate a situation. My opinion, my personal opinion. We're going to be back after this commercial break with more from this video. You guys don't want to go anywhere. We'll be right back.
I do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America against all enemies, foreign and domestic, and that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same, and that I take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, pledging my life, my fortune, and my sacred honor. So help me God. Join us at oathkeepers.org.
Support On The Move. Help us make this podcast bigger and better. You can do this by going to our store and purchasing one of our hundreds of products. All designs are original and made for patriots like you. Just go to cafepress.com/OnTheMoveShow. We appreciate your support. Hi, I'm Latasha Worley, and I work with candidates to creatively and effectively communicate their message to voters. I offer professional graphic design services, from yard signs to flyers, from logos to vehicle magnets. Email me today at latashaworley@gmail.com. That's LATOSHA Worley@gmail.com for a quote on items for your campaign.
Broadcasting from deep within the heartland of free America, where liberty still shines bright. You're listening to On the Move with Mac Worley III.
Hey gang, we're back. If you want to join today's conversation, you can do so in a variety of ways. You can get us directly on the phone. Our MacPack phone lines are open. The number of the show is 360-450-5625. Again, that is 360-450-5625. You can message us on Twitter at OnTheMoveShow, or get us on Facebook, facebook.com/OnTheMoveShow, or comment on the event link. By the way, I see that some of you guys are out there are purchasing our limited edition Bear Arms t-shirt. Again, that is teechip.com, teechip.com/OnTheMoveShow. I really appreciate that, and I'm happy you guys like it. So I'm happy to hear that you guys are getting in on this. And again, it's only a limited time offer, so it's only out there for 8 more days. If you want it, act now, because it won't be around much longer. So anyway, so let's go ahead and get into this video again from the LaVoy Finicum incident, his death. And we have the synced video. I recommend that you guys actually sit there and watch what is going on. You're going to get a much better perspective of what's happening from looking at the video, from the aerial photography, and from the video that was taken inside the vehicle. Which, by the way, again, I'm still blown away that this ever saw the light of day. Because, first of all, I think this is really bad. It makes the FBI look really, really bad. But secondly, I'm really surprised that they would have allowed this to come out there. I thought for sure they were going to try to discredit the people in the car saying that they took footage. I thought that they were going to just simply, delete the video. Blows me away. I'm thankful that they didn't do that, though. So I don't know if there were any other cameras rolling, if there was anything else, any angles that were caught, or if this footage was manipulated. As far as I understand it, I haven't read anything about the footage being manipulated, that anybody in the incident, inside the vehicle, claims that it was manipulated. And it doesn't look like it is from my perspective. So anyway, let's go ahead and continue listening in here.
What do we do? Hold this.
You're wasting your oxygen.
Hold this camera. Listen. Okay.
They're still pulled over. The police have come up behind them, pulled them over, and they're trying to get them to come out of the vehicle.
Okay, take pictures. Keep an eye on him. All right. Keep an eye on LaVoy.
Can you take pictures and still have it recording?
Recording.
Okay, cool.
Okay, no.
Okay, what's his number?
I'm looking. Just a minute.
You need to back down.
We don't have any service. We have no service here.
Start calling people. They did it because there's no service here.
Yeah, they got it.
They know it. There's no service here at
We
all.
should never have stopped. We should never have stopped.
I'm going to keep going.
Then we have to duck.
I know.
What are they going to do with Ryan?
Okay.
If we take
We
up
need
where
to
they
get
can
Ryan
shoot-
back.
Shoot your tires out.
Most likely.
Okay, Ryan Hammond.
Why did they pull you
Go
over?
get help.
There's no service here.
Just because.
Okay, you ready?
Well, where's those where's the
They
guns?
got him stopped. He can't get around it. I'm going to go. You guys ready?
Okay, get down.
Then you duck down.
down.
Give me that camera. Okay, give me this camera. Go.
All right, so everybody in the vehicle is ducked down. He's starting to pull off. He's just driving away from the officers that are behind him. So he does not know at this point that there is a roadblock in front of him. It's a mile or so down the road. He has no idea that this road is completely blocked. And again, you have to imagine you're coming around a blind curve and all of a sudden you see two police vehicles in the road completely blocking the way. What do you do?
Got it. Are they shooting? Got it.
Now, at this point, they ask, are they shooting? Now, I don't know what happened. The audio is loud because the windows are down. So I can't tell. I couldn't hear any gunshots. There very well could have been gunshots at this point. I don't know if this has been accused. Very well could have, because one of the things that, and this is just me speculating, I don't know if this happened. Here's an article off of OregonLive.com. There was a bullet hole on LaVoy Finicum's truck traced to an elite FBI team. Bend. This is the article on Oregon Live. Let's see. It's written by Les Zeitz. Something didn't seem right about the bullet hole in the top of Robert LaVoy Finicum's white Dodge pickup. Investigators from the Deschutes County Sheriff's Office could account for bullet holes in the left front hood, the driver's side mirror, and the front grille. They came from the AR-15 of a state trooper who had fired three times at the truck as Finicum raced at 70 miles per hour toward the police roadblock on January 26. So perhaps this happened when he was coming at them, according to what this says. The angle of the fourth bullet hole didn't match the others. An elaborate computer analysis, a review of the FBI aerial video of the shooting scene, and a video from a passenger in Finicum's pickup produced a result that startled the team, pouring over evidence into Finicum's fatal shooting that day. The fourth round, police concluded, was fired by an FBI agent who subsequently twice denied to investigators ever firing his gun. That's a little suspect, don't you think? As the investigation proceeded, detectives determined he also fired a second time, but didn't hit anything at the scene. The discovery of that gunfire and conduct afterward by the agent and 4 other agents have triggered a criminal investigation that could result in the prosecution of all 5. The agents all serve on the FBI's hostage rescue team. Authorities on Tuesday released few details about the matter and didn't identify the agents by name. But the disclosure is a jolt to the FBI. The Oregon investigators 2 weeks ago flew to Washington, D.C. to directly brief top FBI officials about their findings. The U.S. Justice Department's Office of Inspector General is now investigating what is said in a statement were allegations of FBI misconduct. The Deschutes County Sheriff's Office is separately investigating whether agents were justified in using deadly force that day. By the way, we have a comment on Facebook, and it's from Vincent. Vincent asks, first reports were 9 shots with 1 to the head, now 3 shots. Can you refer to the... I was reading. He wants me to refer to... He said I can refer to his name in the question. So thanks, Vincent. Appreciate it. As far as the shots, as far as I'm seeing, there's been a discrepancy in these reports as well. I remember hearing that LaVoy was shot 9 times. Now, I'm looking at photos, actually, of the autopsy, allegedly. I think this is from the autopsy. This is an article on RT.com, so you guys can believe that source or not. It's up to you. Again, I don't necessarily trust the Russian government, so I don't trust state-controlled propaganda. But as far as I'm seeing, even on this website, they're showing that he was shot 3 times. I can see the locations on his body, and we're going to get to this picture in a moment. Very, very concerning. So, anyway, I have no idea if, as he's speeding off away from these police officers, if there was gunfire behind him. I don't know. Very well could have. I assume only the people in the vehicle would know if they heard gunfire. But as far as what you can tell in the audio, all we can hear is the sound of wind. So now they're speeding away, and they're about ready to find out that there's a roadblock ahead. So I am fast forwarding now about 45 seconds into the video because they're just driving at this point. They're trying to get a hold of somebody on the phone. As I mentioned, they're in a dead zone here. Now, I do not know if this is because they're out in the middle of the boonies and they don't have access to, their cell phone coverage or something. Maybe they're outside of the range. It's a very real possibility that could have happened. However, I don't know. It could be that, or it could be that the FBI, there are different devices that allow them to turn off your cell phone to make it so you can't actually access communication from the outside world. So that's a possibility. I'm not one to jump to conclusions, though. I'm going to go ahead and say, on a guess, that they're out in the middle of nowhere, and that's probably it. I don't want to hear hooves and think unicorns. I typically want to think horses before I think unicorns. So, oh, great! For some reason, the video reloaded, so I'm going to go ahead and go up to the part where we were. Here we go.
Well, I got numbers, but I can't call because we have no service.
Okay.
No mobile network not available.
Do you have numbers for people here in town?
Yeah, but... Hey,
okay.
All right. They just came around the blind curve. This is a very big curve. You watch the video. On this coin article and this synchronized video, it's about I'm at 5 minutes and 23 seconds into the video. You can click on that and actually see how there's no way that LaVoy would have seen these vehicles before he got within. He says hang on. Now, when he says hang on, we'll go ahead and I'll see how far he is, because I can pretty much tell here at 5:23 he had just said hang on a couple of seconds ago. Let's go back here to about 5:15.
Okay.
No mobile network not available.
Do you have numbers for people here in town?
Yeah, but... Hey,
all right, that's 5:23. Hang on. All right, so he hears that. I'm looking at his vehicle right now. His brake lights are on. He's hitting the brakes. And you could hear him. You could hear the bang of him click onto the brakes right there. Yeah, right after he says hang on, click. He's hitting the brakes, and now he's got the vehicles are outside of the camera footage. I'm looking at it. I'm guessing this is probably about, I don't know, maybe 75 yards. This is hard to tell. Very difficult to tell. He's going about 70 miles per hour, according to the reports. He's hitting his brakes immediately, but he's still not able to stop. Again, there's snow on either side of the road. I can clearly see white stuff all over the place. So very well could have been icy. I don't know what the situation was on the conditions on the road, but what I can tell you is that out of the options that he has, he's already hitting his brakes. I can see it. So it's not like he's not trying to stop, and he obviously couldn't. So he had to either choose. You veer right. I don't know what's to the right. You veer left, or you go straight at them. What are you going to do? If he would have not chosen a direction to away, he would have hit right into them, because he obviously couldn't stop at them. He's hitting his brakes right now.
Okay, so they're shooting.
Still hitting his brakes. He's hitting his brakes the whole... Wow, that was even less than 75 yards. That had to be maybe 40 yards. I thought they were further away from the frame. Yeah, that wasn't very, very far at all. But he's hit... From the moment he sees them, he's not quite over into the snow yet at this point. 5:25 into the video. Not quite into the snow. all the way. He's got his driver's side tires and his passenger front tires, but his back passenger tire is still on the road at 525, and he's still hitting his brakes. So this whole time he had no choice. And it looks like over to the right there's a bunch of trees. I don't know if that's like a slope down a hill either. That probably, I can't tell from this angle. It could be. But he chose the wide open area where there was snow at to go at. I mean, if you were in this situation, if you had an hour to sit here and analyze this, you would have had to choose this as the safest way. There's no other option. So they crash into the snow, and he immediately gets out of the vehicle. Here we go.
Okay, we're here.
Go ahead.
All right. The moment he hits the snow, he hops out and he says, "Go ahead."
Shoot me.
And they immediately shoot at him. You can see the footage from inside the vehicle. The window breaks. The passenger, the rear passenger, or I'm sorry, rear driver's side window is immediately shattered from. It sounds like 2 bullets. Pop, pop. The guy jumps out of the car, has his hands up in the air. Pop, pop. I think this is completely striking that the FBI immediately fires. No questions asked. Pop, pop. Let's go back.
Okay, we're here.
Go ahead and shoot me.
So they must have missed him the first 2 shots because he's got his hands up in the air still out in that snow. He's walked maybe, looks like maybe he's like 5 or 10 feet away from the truck on the driver's side, hands up in the air. And again, the very first thing that they did, as soon as he opened up that door, pop, pop. They had to have missed him because he's obviously not shot right now. He's got his hands up in the air. His hands have not come down. So here we go.
Stay down. Stay down. Stay down. Stay down. Stay down.
Okay. So based on the audio right there. Now, this is something that could be up for debate as far as whether or not the audio has been tampered with. Because I see him, right before you hear that gunshot, I see him reaching down to his left side. I don't hear any gunshots. I clearly heard a gunshot just a second ago, and you see him fall down. But there's a very real possibility. Again, this is audio and video that has been sourced by the government. Now, again, I don't want to hear unicorns, but who's to say that they couldn't have altered this audio and removed the sound of gunfire at the precise time when his hands go down to his side? Who's to say? Let's continue on here. He's shot. Let's go back another couple seconds here, and we'll hear this again. His hands are still up in the air right now.
Stay down. Stay down.
He's reaching down.
Damn it. Are they shooting him? Did I shoot him?
He's down. He's laying on his back.
You asshole. Oh my God!
Now here comes what I would consider this is obviously very tense right here. But this situation that you're about to hear, I wouldn't wish on anyone. These people are trapped in a vehicle. They don't know. They can't see what just happened to LaVoy. They're ducked down on the floor in the back of the vehicle. They can't see what happened to LaVoy. They don't know that LaVoy has been shot, killed. They have no idea what's going on. And the FBI is continuing to shoot at their vehicle and shoot tear gas, smoke, all sorts of stuff. They're shooting at these tear gas canisters at the passenger side, rear passenger window in an attempt to shatter the glass to shoot more tear gas into it. So here's the rest of this very, very tense situation.
Yeah. Stay down.
Is he dead?
Don't get out.
I'm EMT! I'm EMT!
Stop it.
Are you hit?
No, I'm EMT!
No, hold on, don't do anything. Don't do anything. The door is shut. Where the hell is LaVoy?
I can't see.
Shut up. Stay down, Ryan.
Oh, God!
Ryan, stay down. Stay down. Oh, shit.
They just
Keep
killed
down.
LaVoy.
Did they kill him?
I think they did, and they're shooting over here on the...
You hear that loud thunk? That was them trying to break the passenger rear passenger window with tear gas canisters. You can see the smoke in the video from inside the car. They're actually shooting tear gas inside of the vehicle. And these people are scared witless. I'm actually amazed at how cool they actually were during this process. I mean, the one girl, I can't remember her name at this time, but she was in there freaking out, and every right, she had every right. But the one woman in the car, she sounded like she had her wits about her. She sounded like she was remaining cool, and she's like, you know, she's logical. She's still rational in this completely hostile situation. It seems like the people that are the least rational are the ones that are continuing to bombard this vehicle. There's been no signs of aggression at any point from the people inside the vehicle at all. And I would argue that there's not even a real sign of aggression from LaVoy. I don't think that he was reaching for a gun. I believe LaVoy was reaching because he was shot. And we're going to get to that in a second here. Let's continue with this video.
This door.
I got hit too.
Okay, hold still.
Where did you get hit?
No, it didn't.
Hold still, hold still.
Ryan, where did you get
Hold
hit?
still.
I'm not bleeding.
Okay, don't shoot
Where
us.
did you get hit, Ryan?
Okay.
Okay, I'm going to take some.
It's okay.
I'm taking some. Keep down. Oh, shit. Well, I don't
They're still trying to break that passenger window.
get out of the car. How are we supposed to get out of the car?
Did they tell us to get out of the car?
No, I can't hear anything.
Let me ask you, would you get out of the car after you just heard a lot of gunfire the moment that LaVoy walked out of the car, and then more gunfire? You think, as far as you know, LaVoy's dead, and that is actually what happened. Would you get out of the vehicle at this point? By the way, do you hear any demands or commands coming from the FBI outside? Do you hear them saying, get out of the car? I don't hear anything coming from them. Do you hear them saying anything other than, we're going to shoot you? I mean, speaking with their actions, they're shooting at them. They're shooting tear grenades at them. Do you hear anything? Does this sound like an environment that you'd be willing to just step out, mosey on out into?
Don't dare get out of the car. Oh, shit.
Again, trying to break that window.
Quit shooting their windows.
Where are they shooting them?
They're hitting the windows. I don't know. They're trying to break their window.
God, keep us safe, please.
Please protect us,
Please,
God.
God.
Please protect us. Please protect us. Please protect us. We need help. We need help. We need help.
Did they kill him? They killed
Oh,
him.
I can see a laser coming in.
They killed. Oh my God, they killed him.
Okay. So where's the rest of everyone?
Are you okay?
Yeah,
I can see lasers going by.
Where did you get hit?
I'm okay.
He's got lasers.
got a laser.
Keep your head down. I can see the laser. If you see a laser, keep it away from us. There's laser on your knee.
Now they start yelling at him.
Stop! I don't dare get out because they'll shoot me.
No,
Okay.
I don't like coming down here either.
Me either, but I don't know what to do because
I don't know.
they keep shooting lasers at us.
Get too stinking lax. Think things are just all dandy and fine. We got too damn lax.
Yeah. Damn, why do they keep shooting?
Now, what was that? I can't see anything on the footage there from either side. I have no idea what that noise was, but I clearly heard glass breaking. Did they shoot another grenade? Was that an actual bullet? I don't know. I didn't hear a gunshot, so I'm thinking that was probably some kind of tear gas grenade being launched, and probably through an already broken window, or a window that they just broke. But to me, it sounds like it was through an already broken window.
I'm
Why
trying to take my head off.
I don't know, but all of us. Stop! 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 Please! Stop!
So So they're begging now. This is the second time she said stop, and they continued. Immediately after, they yelled stop. Now they're yelling, please, please, stop. Do you hear this? Immediately after this, they're saying please, and they're continuing to shoot. This is crazy.
That's ridiculous. Because you're stupid.
They're begging them to stop, and they continue to shoot at the vehicle. The vehicle's now filling up with tear gas.
You gonna kill all of us? Father, please. Protect.
Those were gas rounds.
Yeah, they are. Right there, wherever your nose quick. Can we get out? Do we get out?
They're choking on the tear gas.
Oh, don't get out.
I can't breathe.
I want you to imagine yourself in this situation. You know what? I want you to imagine your wife, your daughter, in this situation. Does that terrify you? We should not fear our government like this. These people are begging for them to stop shooting at them. There's no need to continue to shoot at these people in the vehicle. There have been no hostile actions from them whatsoever. They're saying, please, stop. Do you hear any commands from the FBI yelling at them to get out of the vehicle? I don't hear any commands being yelled. There's a few times they were yelling. I didn't hear them say, get out of the vehicle. I didn't hear. And would you get out of the vehicle at this point? They are continuing to shoot. The moment LaVoy opened the door, he was shot at. I saw the glass break. I heard the gunfire. Pop, pop. Does it sound like a situation to you that you would want to go out into? Does it sound like you'd be safe?
Okay. Okay. God. Okay. God. Please.
You can see lasers being moved about inside the cabin on the inside the cabin footage. And again, if they thought it was safe for them to get out of the vehicle, at this point, do you think that they would? They obviously would. Who would choose to sit there and choke on tear gas if they weren't afraid for their life to get out of the vehicle?
Okay,
they got lasers still on us.
We got lasers still on us. LaVoy got out. I think they've killed LaVoy. They just shot gas rounds into the car. We're hunkered down in here trying not to be shot.
He's shooting at
Shooting more gas rounds. The gas is getting pretty thick in here.
God, please.
Anyway.
Do we do get out? I don't want to get out. Will they shoot me?
Yeah, they'll shoot you.
How am I going to get out? If I get...
Anyway.
Can we put a white flag out?
Yeah, I would put a flag out. Let's put a flag out.
Do you have a white flag? Yep.
I'm not sure what they got. What you got?
There's a laser shooting right over here around this.
Okay. The gas dissipates.
He's trying to break this window. He's trying to break the window in out.
Okay.
Does anybody have anything white? Does he have a white bra on?
I kick my shirt off. He's a laser trying to shoot this window. He's got this window open here.
Speak to people. Anyway, they ambushed us on the way to John Day. And now they're shooting into our vehicle. And we're hunkered down. We do not have phone service at this location.
I surrender! Can we wait to surrender?
Okay, open the left door. Let's get...
She yells, I surrender. They say, come out the left side door.
Oh.
Okay!
That's you. Ryan, I don't know if you can get out. You get out first. Let her in first. Let her out first. You go first. You go first.
Please don't shoot me!
Go.
Okay, I get out.
Okay, get out.
Okay!
No, shoot Ryan first.
She's exiting the vehicle now. She's climbing out the open door. And this is the first moment that she's going to see LaVoy laying on the ground to the left behind the vehicle.
Well, shoot your first, Ryan. Hands up, hands up.
The boy's dead.
Shit. Okay. Okay, go.
And it's the man, I believe his name is Ryan. He's exiting the vehicle first. His hands are up in the air. I believe he has a firearm in his hand. I can't tell from the angle, but he's about to be yelled at, I believe, to drop it. Let's see. Yeah, they yell drop it. He throws it down immediately while his hands are still in the air.
Okay, hands up. Okay, go.
So they're pulling them out one by one. This is what went down. I do not think that this was handled appropriately. This is just me, but and it's obvious. As far as what Mr. Finicum's wife said, that they were unarmed. I think at this point we can say that they had weapons on them at some point. Even if it was just Ryan's weapon that he threw on the ground. I'm just, in all fairness, I can see something was thrown. I assume that it was a firearm. I could be wrong, but anyway, that's what went down inside this. I recommend that you check this video out. This will answer a lot of the questions about what happened. And I honestly believe that the FBI handled this atrociously. They could have done so many different things. And again, on the use of force model that I was taught, is there are double-sided arrows. You can escalate or de-escalate the situation, and a lot of that is based upon officer conduct. The officers can choose to do things that may de-escalate the situation, but it doesn't seem like this hit team, this elite FBI task force was interested in taking any prisoners initially. Again, it's the moment LaVoy exited the vehicle, he's shot at. His hands are in the air. This is all before. Just to clarify, all of it is before he even reached down into his to his side. So when we come back, I want to actually talk about the autopsy report, and let's make some connections here with what we saw on the video of how he reached down to his side. Anyway, we'll be right back after this break. You guys don't want to go anywhere.
Oath Keepers is a nonpartisan association of current active duty military, reserve, guard, veterans, peace officers, and firefighters who will fulfill the oath we swore, with the support of like-minded citizens who take an oath to stand with us, to support and defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. So help us God. Join us at oathkeepers.org.
Support On The Move. Help us make this podcast bigger and better. You can do this by going to our store and purchasing one of our hundreds of products. All designs are original and made for patriots like you. Just go to cafepress.com/OnTheMoveShow. We appreciate your support. Hi, I'm Latasha Worley, and I work with candidates to creatively and effectively communicate their message to voters. I offer professional graphic design services, from yard signs to flyers, from logos to vehicle magnets. Email me today at latashaworley@gmail.com. That's LATOSHA Worley@gmail.com for a quote on items for your campaign.
Broadcasting from deep within the heartland of free America, where liberty still shines bright. You're listening to On the Move with Mac Worley III.
All right, we're back. So I'm back at 5:17 in the video of LaVoy. I want to just go over here what I'm seeing, the positions that I'm looking at as far as the way LaVoy is facing, where the bullets likely came from. So we're going to go ahead and play this again. just a small little segment. I don't mean to oversaturate you guys with this, but we're analyzing the footage compared to the autopsy report. And let's just actually look at what I'm seeing as a picture of where LaVoy was shot. Again, this is an RT.com article. The article is titled, "Shooting of Oregon Occupier LaVoy Finicum Justified, Prosecutor." This article was dated March 8, 2016. I do not see who the article was written by. But anyway, the snapshot of the autopsy report where it shows the bullet holes in LaVoy, one of them, this is a shot, a picture of the body facing here. This is like a silhouette of, a blank silhouette. So it's you know how medical things will be like, circle where you're injured kind of thing. That's what we're looking at. And we see one shot. Now this is odd to me. This may not be accurate. Now, there may be some more autopsy reports or something released at another time. From what I'm seeing, this isn't actually matching the reports I've just read, where one of the bullets apparently pierced his heart. I'm seeing on the right side, he's got shot on his upper right side, like his neck, kind of collarbone area on the right side, right. Real close to the middle, but over to the right slightly of his collarbone. And then I see a bullet hole in his right shoulder. And oddly enough, the third bullet that I see here is his left hip, kind of maybe right where his rib would be on the left side, but over maybe 3 or 4 inches. I'd say maybe 3 inches from his left side into it, where the same level height-wise where his rib cage would be. So this is interesting as far as that, because let's play the clip here. And I think that these shots came from the FBI agents on the road. So what position would LaVoy have been shot at in this scenario? I don't know. I've heard that there were some shots in his back. See, this is the thing. There's so many conflicting reports about this. This is what is really hard to analyze evidence in this, because there's so many different conflicting reports. I can't narrow down. I'm not looking at the body. I can't tell you what it is. And it sucks when even the government itself is giving us so many conflicting reports. I think obviously that is an attempt to number one, create an era of an aura of conspiracy around it. So they try to discredit us from what we're saying, because then we speculate on one thing off the details they gave us, and then they give us different details, and we start analyzing the connections between the two, how there's discrepancies in their own story. Again, these are the FBI agents that did not tell anyone that they shot a gun during this incident. So I don't trust anything that they're saying at this point. So let's look at it. Let's review the footage one more time.
Do you have numbers for people here in town?
Yeah, but hang on.
Okay, so they're shooting.
Hang on.
Okay, the vehicle's sliding over.
Go ahead and shoot me.
He's getting out. Pop. He's facing
Stay
the
down.
back of the vehicle,
Stay down.
walking towards the back of the vehicle. Now he's
Stay
reaching
down.
in his pocket, or that's what they're alleging to say. He's
Damn it.
okay. So at that point when he was shot, he was facing at kind of an off angle, but still mostly facing the front of the vehicle. He was parallel with the vehicle, facing the front. When he fell over, he kind of fell over at an angle backwards. Now, I don't know where these bullets came from. It's impossible to tell from this footage. I think these bullets probably came from behind him. I think that it's a possibility he got tased. This whole situation it's just impossible. It's just impossible to analyze, at least accurately. You know, I hope that we have a independent autopsy report somewhere out there, because I if anybody knows of it, please send me a link of that. I want to see the full official autopsy report by an independent source other than the FBI or the U.S. government. I really would like to see what actually went down here, because I just don't trust any of the information I'm getting here. And here's another thing. Like I said, the prosecutors are trying to get a protective order on the evidence from the Malheur refuge conspiracy case. This is the article, Oregon Live. Federal prosecutors, by the way, this is written by Maxine Bernstein. Federal prosecutors estimate that evidence accumulated in the conspiracy case stemming from the armed takeover of the Malheur National Wildlife Refuge will exceed 1 terabyte of digital data, and want the court to determine defense attorneys not to share the material or make it public. Defense lawyers are expected to challenge the request at a hearing Wednesday. The public and press have an interest in the case, and if attorneys seek to share information as allowed under ethical rules, the government should not have the power to limit expression by defense attorneys through a protective order, according to a joint filing by federal public defender Lisa Hay on behalf of the other defense lawyers in the case. A terabyte of data is about 1 trillion bytes or 1,000 gigabytes, for example, and it could hold 1,000 copies of the Encyclopedia Britannica, according to What's a Byte website. Defense lawyers argue that a protective order could disrupt attorney-client relations in the cases and possibly spur some defendants to represent themselves to eliminate the perceived interference by attorneys in access to discovery. Ammon Bundy, leader of the takeover, and 24 others have been indicted on a federal conspiracy charge, accused of impeding federal officers from doing their work at the wildlife refuge about 30 miles outside of Burns. The occupation began January 2nd and ended 41 days later when the 4 last holdouts surrendered. So, and by the way, that was a very tense footage or a tense situation. I listened to the audio of that. I've told you about that before. You can check that out on Gavin Symes' YouTube channel. That is very tense. It's another extremely tense situation made that way because of the FBI. You know, there are so many. These people aren't trying to harm anyone. They're saying if they're shot at, they'll shoot back. As far as I understand it, that they have an intention to protect themselves. They're not going to allow the government to assassinate them, although the government's still going to try. And because of this situation, the hostilities, the tension, it's all created by the FBI. If you just want to talk, go up there and talk. You want to arrest them? You know, honestly, if I was an FBI agent, I'd say, hey, here's some handcuffs. Put them on yourself. I don't have a gun. You're under arrest. You don't want to be arrested? Well, okay. We'll add that to the charge. These are the things that you could do. You could start at the lowest level. I mean, these people out there protesting, occupying, they're not a danger to society, and most of these people respect the rule of law as well. So, if you want to arrest them, I think if you don't put them in a position where their back's against the wall and you give them no choice. Again, I mentioned last week the concept of death ground. If you don't put them on death ground where they think that if they don't fight, they'll die. I'm just amazed that no shots were fired. Again, not from the FBI, but from the occupiers. I have to hat tip to them. I have to tell them they have my support. I am blown away at the amount of restraint that they have shown. They were being shot at and did not shoot back. I mean, I think that has to be said. Now, I've told you all a couple of times that I disagree with the tactics of being armed in this situation. I think it's much more effective to wage nonviolent war, in this kind of situation to actually use Dr. Martin Luther King and Gandhi's tactics against this kind of abusive, tyrannical state. I think it's much more effective because you'll win the PR campaign, and you can't be even argued to be the aggressor if you're not armed and you're nonviolent. So you'll win the PR war. But I'm not critiquing them. I have to say my hat is off to them. They have not shot at the police, which I don't know if other people in their scenario would have had that kind of restraint. Like I said, I think the police intentionally put them on death ground and were trying to make them look even worse, trying to demonize them further. But we have a clip here from one of Bundy's, I think this is Ammon Bundy's, or maybe this is Clive and Bundy's, let's see here, reading through the article, attorney. His name is Mike Arnold. He represents Bundy, who faces a federal indictment related to the occupation and events leading to the seizure of the refuge. I think this might be Ammon's attorney. It doesn't specify. There are several Bundys, so I don't know why they wouldn't specify. Oh, it is Ammon Bundy. Here we go. So his attorney is talking. This is KVAL news, KVAL.com. The article is dated March 8th, titled "Bundy's Attorney Weighs In on the Investigation into the Shooting Death of LaVoy Finicum." I'm going to play a couple minutes of this clip here.
Who's this from? The FBI?
Yes. Chutes County Sheriff said that these extra shots that I guess were not known about previously were fired by FBI, but here in this release, it's referred to as by law enforcement. So what's your reaction to that?
Well, my reaction to the entire situation is we weren't given the full truth at that initial FBI press conference after the shooting. They selectively released information to the public. They gave us the aerial video. They made certain representations to the public, and they were incomplete and incorrect. And this is why transparency in government is so important, because when the FBI attempts to basically inflame and prejudice the public over a political protest by selectively releasing information, that's something that should appall everyone on the far left to the far right.
And this has to be noted. This was a political protest, completely protected underneath the Constitution, the Bill of Rights. Again, this document doesn't give us this authority. It simply says that the federal government cannot do these things. It cannot restrict these things. This is a political protest. They were armed. They have every right to be. They were on government property, which means it's public property. Everyone owns it. They have a right to be there. And they've been demonized. I think this whole situation, the FBI, every step along the lines, they wanted to set it up to where they could demonize these guys the most. They picked a traffic stop. Everyone knows it's the most dangerous and possibly confrontational situation that a law enforcement officer can get to. Everyone knows that. They set up a roadblock around a blind curve in the middle of winter. They immediately started shooting at LaVoy when he exited the vehicle. They continued to pepper the vehicle with bullets and tear grenades as they're yelling, "Please, stop, please." All of these again, I don't know if the audio was altered. I think it's highly suspect. I don't trust the government. I don't trust any governments for that matter. Anyway, Ammon's attorney continues.
Because if they're doing it for a bunch of ranchers, imagine what they're going to do to Black Lives Matter or to environmental protesters. Anybody that the government disagrees with, they're all at risk. This case is bigger than just what happened to the Hammonds.
So does this sound like a cover-up to you?
Well, there's an allegation that there's a cover-up, and I've been in this business long enough to know that allegations are allegations. Words are wind. I grew up in Parkville, Missouri, the Show Me state. So, show me the cover-up. Show me the evidence. Show me the information. Don't tell me about it. Show it to me.
How do you see what happened today affecting Ammon Bundy's case?
Well, if there's truly an FBI cover-up, and then the FBI knew that the cover-up was happening, and the FBI continued to investigate the political protest at the refuge, then that's a problem. Recall in court, I requested to have an escort there during the investigation by an investigator employed by our office. That was declined. Why did they resist that? And these are questions that need to be answered. So what we have is a bunch of folks protesting the government, then the government investigating the government protesters, and then the government accused of covering up the investigation of the government protesters, and then the government investigating their own cover-up in the investigation of the government protesters.
We investigated ourselves. We're checking out ourselves, investigating ourselves, and we've determined that we have done no wrongdoing. This is the typical standard answer that you get from any kind of internal investigation. Most people are so sick of these things because we just do not trust the government to investigate themselves. That doesn't make any sense. This system is corrupt as hell. That's and again, I'm concerned not just for my own side's viewpoints here. I don't want the government to harass protesters who are not hurting anyone, who are not violating laws on both sides of the aisle, both sides of any argument. Even if I disagree with them, we've all heard the saying that I may disagree with you, but on this thing, but I'll die for your right to say it. It doesn't really happen so much on the left, FYI, but the government, they are encroaching further and further into your right to speech, your right to express yourself, your right to protest, definitely your right to keep and bear arms. I'm getting concerned. I think we all have reason to be concerned and distrustful of this government, but I mentioned last week, if you didn't hear last week's episode, go check it out. Go listen to what I said about my suggestions on how to handle this. I think nonviolence is the answer. Nonviolent struggle is the way to go about doing this. You want to effect change. You want to politically protest. There's some things that we can easily do to make sure that we are putting ourselves in the most advantageous situation against tyranny. Because our government only knows how to do one thing, and that is to coerce people into compliance. That's it. That's all they know how to do, especially in response to protest. So we put ourselves in a situation where we can't lose. We put ourselves in a situation where our people are protected. We don't do protests in the middle of the boonies. We do protests in highly accessible areas in the city. We protest symbolic targets. We do it unarmed. Those kind of things, again, I completely agree with the right to keep and bear arms. I think that you have the right to do it, but in terms of doing the kind of things that you want, to make the kind of change, to win over the public the way that you want, you doing it unarmed will go a long way. And the sheer fact of being unarmed, and if they come for you, you win, because you can get that video out through internet access, because you'll be in the city, you'll have access to cell phone towers and Wi-Fi if you're in a Capitol building. All of these things I said last week. It's a win-win situation. They come for you, you show the video of how much force they used against unarmed protesters, and make the contrast of what they did to the occupiers and how they treat the left and the right differently or the same. Something that maybe we can all unify behind and against. You show that, and you're gaining public support. People will see it, and it will make them feel uncomfortable, and they'll have to side with you because it's obvious. It's obvious it's not right to beat people, to kill people, to spray them with pepper spray, who are just simply trying to express a political viewpoint and protest, as is their right, as is protected underneath the Constitution. And if they don't, you have plenty of time to sit there and talk about your message. And again, I've also mentioned it's a good idea to constantly, if they're not messing with you, if they're not harassing you, if they're just letting you protest, then you stay at a place for a few days and you move to another one, occupy a different place. You now control the media narrative because something in the situation has changed. Now the media will cover it. You keep changing and changing and changing, and you control the media narrative. It keeps showing up on the front page of websites. It keeps having to be discussed in the news reports. Every night people are hearing something new about the case, new development, and they're hearing about what people are doing, why they're standing up for it. You're having your message catered specifically to the issue you're talking about. It's not being demonized simply because you're armed. It's simply about the land that the federal government owns and how they are treating the ranchers regarding this land that they've grazed on, in some cases, hundreds of years. Anyway, that's how I feel about this. But I don't trust the government. I want to know what you guys have to say about this. What do you think? What are your thoughts? Hit me up on Twitter @OnTheMoveShow. on Facebook, facebook.com/OnTheMoveShow, or our event link on Facebook. We shared it in our group's link on Facebook. By the way, if you're not a member of our group, please go ahead and send us a request to join. I would love it if you join our community. Got a lot of free thinkers, a lot of diversity of thought inside this group, which is one of the things I love so much about it. I'm not one of those guys that just wants to sit there and talk to people who I agree with, because you don't learn nothing. You know, you can't learn unless somebody's challenging your views, and that's one of the things I love so much about our group on Facebook, is that I have conversations with you guys. It's my favorite way to communicate with you all, is directly in the group. We have debates, we challenge each other. And you know, the most beautiful thing about it is that we can disagree, and we don't rip each other apart. We can disagree, but we can do it rationally. We can do it logically, and we can do it friendly. At the end of it, we can, metaphorically shake hands and walk away afterwards. This is what I love about this group. So if you want to join, that's facebook.com/groups/OnTheMoveShow. But anyway, we're going to go ahead and cut to a commercial break. When we come back, if you guys want to join today's conversation, the number to the show is 360-450-5625. I'll take your phone calls or read your tweets at On The Move Show. And anyway, after this, we're going to get into the other featured topics of the show. So we're going to start moving into the political side of today's show. I want to talk about Ben Carson endorsing Trump. Do you all believe that this is a betrayal to his supporters? Are you a Ben Carson supporter? How do you feel? Give us a call. Send us your tweet. Send a message on Facebook. I also want to talk about Hillary Clinton, how she's saying, this is our featured, this is the main topic for today, Hillary Clinton talking about how she will not deport illegal immigrants. That's insane. We're going to cover that. Donald Trump, he's talking about the rally being shut down in Chicago by MoveOn.org. And I want to play this video of Ted Cruz discussing his wife's involvement as a dissenting voice on the Council on Foreign Relations. So you guys don't want to go anywhere. We'll be right back.
I do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America against all enemies, foreign and domestic, and that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same, and that I take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, pledging my life, my fortune, and my sacred honor. So help me God. Join us at oathkeepers.org.
Support On The Move. Help us make this podcast bigger and better. You can do this by going to our store and purchasing one of our hundreds of products. All designs are original and made for patriots like you. Just go to cafepress.com/OnTheMoveShow. We appreciate your support. Hi, I'm Latasha Worley, and I work with candidates to creatively and effectively communicate their message to voters. I offer professional graphic design services, from yard signs to flyers, from logos to vehicle magnets. Email me today at latashaworley@gmail.com. That's LATOSHA Worley@gmail.com for a quote on items for your campaign.
Broadcasting from deep within the heartland of free America, where liberty still shines bright. You're listening to On the Move with Mac Worley III.
All right, gang, we're back. This is halfway through the second hour of the program. By the way, if you're just tuning in, we've talked about LaVoy Finicum, the shooting surrounding that incident in Burns, Oregon, that led to his untimely demise. We have some comments on our Facebook event on here. So Vincent, he says, it seems that there's some missing footage. LaVoy goes from the truck stopping to being outside the truck. I didn't quite notice that, but if you did, more power to you. I'll have to take a second look at that, or actually probably a 15th look at that. But based on what I saw, he was out of the truck very quickly. If you look at the inside of the vehicle footage and the outside, I didn't notice any differences, but I promise you I will go back and look at that. D says, I'd like to point out that it's interesting that the exit wounds did not bleed all over the left inside pocket that was supposedly held the 9mm. So I actually looked at the video of this. The pictures of this that were supposedly where he had a gun in his pocket. That the FBI claimed that he had a gun down in the left side pocket there. I didn't see any blood anywhere in these pictures whatsoever. You got snow around there. You didn't see any blood stains in the snow. No red snow. Nothing. You would think that a man that died from a gunshot wound would have some blood somewhere. I mean, that's what I would think. I've never seen that before, but I would imagine that there would be blood somewhere. And I agree. I think it is kind of suspect. But in addition, if you look at the pictures of the pocket that supposedly had the gun, number one, I remember reading a comment on there, and this person was dead on. The way that the gun was placed inside the pocket from the picture was backwards. If any real shooter who'd been holding the gun, or that would be reaching for the gun in that pocket, wouldn't have the handle of the gun turned the other way. It would make it so they'd have to wrench their hand in there, twist it at a weird angle in order to pull the gun out. So that doesn't really make a whole lot of sense why it would be like that, unless he would lift it the jacket pocket up and then reach in with his left hand and pull it out and up. That just doesn't seem like a very effective way. I doubt that he would do it that way. Maybe, again, this is a lot of this is speculation, and it's without all the information. We can look at the videos. It still doesn't cover everything, and then we also have to keep in mind that the source that we're getting this video and audio from, who knows if they've altered it. We already know that they're lying about. Some of these FBI agents are trying to cover up the fact that they even shot their guns in the first place. You can't trust them. You know what they say about guys with small hands? You can't trust them. So this is concerning, though, and I agree. But another thing, this little pocket that's inside that jacket, it's the fabric on it looked real flimsy. I personally wouldn't count on that to holster a gun, to keep a gun in there. Especially if you're a daily carrier, I wouldn't. First of all, it doesn't make a lot of sense, because you would see a jacket sag, as Vincent on Facebook says, he sees no sag in the jacket from a gun in a pocket either. So I didn't see the jacket leaning one direction or not. I don't see that. But that's one of those things of having a firearm in a jacket pocket. It's going to have a sag to one side, which is another reason why I wouldn't carry it like that. Unless maybe another pocket on the inside you had some counterbalance or something. Maybe you threw 2 magazines in there. That's one of the things that when I carried, I prefer to carry on it with a shoulder holster. If I'm concealed carrying, for example, especially in the winter, you can wear a jacket. I like that. The only problem with carrying a shoulder holster, if you have a full frame firearm or a large firearm, is it has like a little bulge that can, depending on how your holster is situated, a bulge that can come out a little bit past your chest as a guy. A little bit past your chest if you're not careful. So like if your arms kind of go back a little bit, people can see a bulge there. But if you got a pretty heavy or thick coat on or something, nobody's going to see it. Which is why I prefer to carry like that. I like concealed carrying with a shoulder holster. But I digress. We're not talking about me. So D also goes on to say that they shot at them at the first stop before LaVoy drove off. See, I don't know. I couldn't tell in the video. I heard them ask the question, are they shooting? I don't know. And again, based on all the conflicting reports that I've seen, I'm hearing now LaVoy was shot 3 times. I heard he got shot in the heart. The pictures of the autopsy that I'm seeing, it's nowhere near his heart. It's on the right side of his body, in his collarbone and his shoulder. I don't see any, and then the third one on the left side and on his rib cage area on the left side. So that's nowhere near the heart. Then now we're hearing 3 shots. We heard 9 shots before. It's a lot of conflicting information. I until I hear like an independent source on an autopsy, and it's just too difficult to really speculate into this. D continues to say, someone also pointed out the direction of the bullet holes, or I'm sorry, the buttonholes. The fabric containing the buttonhole that goes the other direction is darker than the rest of the jean material. So are you saying that it's a possibility somebody added the pocket, D? Is that what you're saying? Perhaps after his death? I don't know if these are staged photos or not. She's saying they did not show that in the recording. Shauna did not start recording until after that shot. Was that when they were originally pulled over? So right when they were pulled over, they were shot at immediately? I know somebody apparently got out of the vehicle. I'm guessing it was the person in the passenger seat in the front, because they weren't in that seat. I didn't see anybody in the seat in the video. So I'm guessing it's that guy who got out. He got snatched up by them in the back, and then at some point somebody shot at them. That's interesting. I'll have to look into that further. She said the shot was directed at Ryan Payne, so that's the guy that was inside the vehicle that came out first after LaVoy. All right, so yeah, that's pretty crazy. Like I said, I have nothing but distrust for these guys. The information they're providing, I have no doubt that this was set up to create a situation to instigate attention that they could use to the FBI's advantage. They were hoping, they were trying to get these guys. It's like poking a bear. You're trying to get them to shoot back at you. They did everything in their power, and like I said, my hat's off to them for not firing at the government. I think in a lot of ways they had a right to do so, because they were under assault. But I want to play here for you all a clip from. Let's get into the political stuff here. In fact, I'm going to go ahead. This whole thing, this whole election has been pretty outrageous. So let's go ahead and cut into a Mac attack.
It's time for the Mac Attack!
Alrighty. Sorry about the delay there. I ran real quick to my AC because it's burning up in this house. Alrighty, so let's see here. Let's get into this election season. There's a lot of stuff going on, a lot of things happening, establishment games being played. But first things first, let's go ahead and start with our featured conversation. Clinton and Sanders, they're both promising not to deport illegal aliens. They're saying that they're not going to follow the law. They're not going to enforce the law. They will continue to not necessarily legislatively, grant amnesty, but just through the power of the executive, just decide not to enforce the law. Again, my issue here, if as a president, you have every right not to enforce a law that you feel is not constitutional. But they never, at any point, at no point, do they bring up the Constitution. Nowhere. And it's because there's nothing in the Constitution that says that an illegal immigrant can stay here. And all of our laws say that it's illegal for them to be here. And there's never been a Supreme Court case to overturn these laws. So the point is that if you follow the law, you follow the Constitution, you're supposed to, as the president, to enforce the laws. Unless you feel you have an obligation to not follow a law if it's unconstitutional. But you don't hear that from them. So here's a clip of them talking. This is at the last debate. They're talking about how they're not going to deport illegals.
So, Secretary, I have a question for you. In 2003, you said on a radio show, specifically it was John Gamblin's radio show in New York, that you were adamantly against illegal immigrants and that people have to stop employing illegal immigrants.
And that is actually true. We played that for you on an article, on an episode not too long ago. It was a clip of Hillary talking about exact words. She's adamantly against illegal immigrants. Those are her words, adamantly against illegal immigrants. And that was the conversation we had where, I was questioning. There was an article I read that one of these Hispanic organizations, they said that Hillary has always supported Hispanics. And I was like, "Oh, is that true? How has her policy been in the past? Has she in the past ever, talked tough about illegal immigration?" Well, yeah, she had. So this is completely accurate. This is a good question for once.
Your new immigration plan is that you would expand President Obama's executive actions and that you would push for legislation that would include a path to citizenship for undocumented immigrants. So are you flip-flopping on this issue, or are you pandering to Latinos, what some would call Hispandering?
Well, in 2003, I sponsored the Dreamer Act. I sponsored it, I think, in every Congress after that. I have been consistent and committed to comprehensive immigration reform with a path to citizenship.
Okay, so that's not reform. That's called amnesty. If you're giving away citizenship, if you're forgiving the people whose very first act is to commit a crime, a felony, to come here illegally, you're giving them amnesty. The definition of amnesty is to forgive someone for a transgression. That is a transgression. You're also going to not just give them legal status. This is the craziest part. She's not just talking about legal status or allowing them to stay here or anything along those lines. She's talking about citizenship. Now, this is the most despicable part of Hillary Clinton and the Democrats out there who are supporting this crap, is that they know that they are buying votes. That's what they're doing. If they say they're going to give you legal status or citizenship, they know that you're going to go vote Democrat once you get the ability to vote. I mean, that's all it is. They know that they're going to be one broad stroke, just legalizing a bunch of Democrat voters. That's what this is about. They're trying to get a one-party system where there are no more Republicans effectively able to fight them in office because they're outnumbered. We're outnumbered from people who weren't here before.
I think our best chance was in 2007 when Ted Kennedy led the charge on comprehensive immigration reform. We had Republican support. We had a president willing to sign it. I voted for that bill. Senator Sanders voted against it. Just think, imagine where we would be today if we had achieved comprehensive immigration reform 9 years ago.
Yeah, can you imagine that? How bad things would be for us right now? It would, for sure, Hillary Clinton or Bernie Sanders would be getting elected president of the United States. You're talking about, they say 11 or 12 million. They don't really even know how many illegal immigrants are in the country. It's more likely, because the numbers that they've provided, they've been saying 11 or 12 million for years and years. It's more likely that there's probably closer to 20, 22 million illegal immigrants, all going to be very shortly after amnesty, registered Democrats. Imagine how bad things would be. We likely would have not won Congress. There would have been no Republican House and Senate. So imagine how another 4 years here would be. Imagine how bad that would be. Yeah, thanks, Hillary, for reminding us.
Imagine how much more secure families would be in our country, no longer fearing the deportation of a loved one, no longer fearing that they would be found out.
Oh, found out. No longer fearing that they'd be found out for what? Oh, could it be that they've committed a crime? Huh? Found out for what? If they're just here peacefully, just loving America, they didn't do anything wrong. They just wanted a better life. What would they be found out for, Hillary? And you're talking about how much more secure we would be. She's talking about the security of the illegal immigrants who came here illegally. I'm sorry, Mrs. Clinton, but I'm not going to put my first concern to people who broke the law. That's not the first. I'm not going to immediately say, for example, you've all seen the movie Liar, Liar, right? You know how they talk about how some criminal was breaking into this person's house and they accidentally hurt themselves, and that situation, and the guy won a lawsuit against the homeowner who he was trying to rob because he hurt himself breaking into his house. That's the situation. I'm not going to immediately jump to the defense of the criminal. You did something wrong. Why do you deserve to be secure in the knowledge that no one's going to come for you? You shouldn't be here. You have literally no right to be here. Countries have a right to determine who comes in and into their country. I mean, it's been like this throughout history. Every country has a right. Every country has their own immigration policies. And in fact, even the most liberal, left-wing, nut-job countries like Germany open borders like crazy. They're starting to scratch their head and say, maybe these Syrian refugees, and I say Syrian as a rather broad term, not everybody is coming in from Syria. A lot of these people are coming in from places nowhere near Syria, but they're starting to scratch their head and say, hey, this really is changing the dynamic of our country, and people are kind of pissed because there's roaming groups of Muslim men roaming around just raping and groping women. They got to re-educate them that's not something you're supposed to do. You can't, just because you can see a girl's skin doesn't mean that it's an open invitation to have sex. FYI. But again, what about the security? She's talking about a right to be secure. Essentially, these illegal immigrants have a right to be secure. What about the security of Americans? First of all, we already know that, Americans like Kate Steinle, if I'm remembering her name correctly, I think that's Kate Steinle, the one that was shot by a illegal immigrant that wasn't supposed to be here in the first place, and the countless amount of illegals that have been released after committing a crime in addition to the crime of being here illegally. They were arrested for committing some kind of crime. A lot of them drunk drivers, some violent people out there, some rapists, stuff along those lines. They've been released back out into the public. They weren't deported, they were released. So what about the security of the American people? Huh? Anybody? You know what? You are being elected to serve if you happen to get elected. Let's hope not Hillary Clinton. You are running for office of the President of the United States, right? You know that, right? Not the President of the North American Union or Mexico or anything like that, the President of the global government. No. You are being elected for America, i.e. Americans should be first. Your first job is to look out for Americans. Put their interest above the interest of foreigners who are coming here in violation of our laws. But no, Hillary doesn't seem to understand that. She doesn't grasp that concept. What about the security of Americans? Actual physical security from criminals. And what about our economic security? These people are coming here and taking jobs away from American citizens. Again, we can't afford to compete. We are legally prohibited from competing against an unskilled laborer who will come here and work lower than minimum wage. Work underneath the table. Even if they work exactly at minimum wages, if they're underneath the table, they don't have to worry about benefits. They don't have to worry about paying taxes. All the employer taxes that associated, workers' compensation, all of this stuff, it saves the employer so much money. The average American can't compete. We can't underbid. We can't say, I'll work for less than that guy. I need a job. So many Americans are losing their jobs right now. We talk about the layoffs that are happening all over the country. Retail is on a downward spiral. We got companies like Staples going out of business. I think Staples, if I'm remembering, maybe it's somebody else, but there's been a bunch of companies filing for bankruptcy, tons of layoffs. Hold that thought. Let me go to one of my sources. I go to this all the time. This is dailyjobcuts.com. Let's just look at what's recently happened here. March 11th, Wireco World Group, 49 layoffs. William Company, 10% of the workforce is laid off. Carbine Studios confirmed some layoffs. Deere & Company, 125 layoffs. Nordstrom, 100 layoffs. Fox Sports, 20-plus online writers laid off. Sonos, some layoffs. Wichita School District, Kansas, considering layoffs. I mean, there's every single day, there's layoffs every single day on here. If you just go to the website, dailyjobcuts.com, it's an amazing resource that you can see of all the things that are happening in this country. Walmart doing layoffs. People that are getting laid off, by the way, and then they go to try to find, they got laid off from a full-time job. Okay, and the government's cooking the books on these numbers. They're saying that, we got 5%, 4% unemployment rate. Our unemployment rate is amazing. But number one, they stopped counting people that aren't filing for unemployment anymore because their unemployment ran out. They couldn't find a job, so they're still outside the workforce, but they're not on the unemployment numbers because they're not collecting unemployment. So they've just given up. They can't find work. And not only that, But the way they look at and way they calculate the numbers is they say, oh, you lost a full-time job, but now you got a part-time job? Oh, you're employed. They consider a part-time job to be a full-time position. But you're not making as much money as you once were. You don't have the same level of income that you once did. You don't have your health care covered either, by the way. And part of the reason, excuse me, why you can't get a full-time job is employers don't want to cover you full-time, because then they have to pay for your health insurance because of Obamacare mandates. So they don't want to offer full-time positions. They'd rather, instead of offering one full-time, they'd rather have two part-time. So what do you have to do as an individual now? Now, not only, again, the government's counting your part-time job as a full-time. So now you have to get another part-time job just to equal the amount of hours that you had before when you lost your job. But it still doesn't matter, because you're still having to pay for your health care costs, which are skyrocketing thanks to Obamacare. Again, the answer here, you'll hear this from the left. They think that single payer is the way to go. It's going to cause your health care to skyrocket. It's going to make shortages, and they're going to have death panels. These are all things that we already know will happen. But in addition, you'll hear from the right. You say, oh, we need to repeal and replace. People like Donald Trump. John Kasich is saying that. Repeal and replace. No, we need to repeal. We need to get every stinking word of Obamacare gone. Get rid of it. This is what Ted Cruz is saying, which is why I can see myself voting for him in this regard. Donald Trump says everybody's health care should be paid for. Who's going to pay for it? The government. Well, what that really means is that the people pay for it. The government doesn't have any money that they don't first fleece from us. I don't think that's a concept Donald Trump really gets, but I digress. Anyway, so now you've got two part-time jobs where you once had a full-time job. Even if you are making the same amount of money, doubtful, but even if you are, you still have to pay for your health care, which, again, it's skyrocketing. Hillary Clinton doesn't get, what about our security? She's more worried about the security of the illegal immigrants coming in here than she is about the personal, actual physical security of Americans and our economic security. She continues.
So I am staunchly in favor of comprehensive immigration reform and have been so over the course of my public career.
The last time we talked, in January, in Iowa, I asked you if you could be the next deporter-in-chief, and you told me no, that you wouldn't be the next deporter-in-chief. However, you refused 2 times to say that you would not deport children. This is what you said. That you won't deport children. And can you promise that you won't deport immigrants who don't have a criminal record?
Here's what I can promise, Jorge. I can promise that I will do everything possible to provide due process.
Will you deport children?
Let me say this. I would give every person, but particularly children, due process to have their story told. And a lot of children will, of course, have very legitimate stories under our law to be able to stay.
So this is the clip from a previous interview that he had with her, and now she's responding. Again, keep in mind, he asked her a very direct question. Will you deport children? She dodged it several times. He's a bulldog on this. Not particularly fond of this gentleman. I believe this is Jorge Ramos. I haven't really been that fond of him, but he's asking a tough question here. He's making her actually give a direct answer. He's challenged her twice in that interview in the past. Now he's challenging her again, being a bulldog on this in these debates. Here's what she has to respond. This is her response.
So, Secretary, you seem to be defending President Obama's deportation policies, and as you know, so far he has deported more than 2.5 million immigrants.
Okay, I got to correct something here. Got to just mention the fact that Obama is not the deporter-in-chief. They've changed the way that they count deportations. They're cooking the books like all the other numbers that they continue to do. They have cooked the books on how many people count as deportations. For example, people that they stop at the border and turn around. The Border Control actually catches and they turn around. That is now counted as a deportation, and it never did in the past. The 2-point-something million deportees, this is not accurate. These are cooked numbers. So This is a straw man argument to begin with, using Obama's information, but he's trying to use this to press, using their own statistics from the government back on them, to press Hillary Clinton to have even more lax immigration laws. Here we go.
So if you really don't want to be the next deporter-in-chief, can you promise tonight that you won't deport children and that you won't deport immigrants who don't have a criminal record? And this time, could I get a yes or no answer?
He's asking, you won't deport children and you won't deport immigrants. Didn't use the illegal term, which they are, illegal immigrants. This is who he's talking about. A lawful immigrant, somebody who came here among the process here, the legal process to become a citizen. They would have no concern of being deported because they came here legally. So he's referring to specifically illegal minors who've come here. They came here unaccompanied, and he's also talking about just any illegal immigrant who's here that does not have a criminal record. Let's point out the very first point that needs to be mentioned. Anyone who came here illegally has a criminal record. That's the first crime that you did. Your very first act of being in this country, you committed a felony. Yeah, you should be deported because you're here illegally and you broke our laws. Sorry. Bye-bye. I don't see any issue with this. The law is clear. And on top of it, we have every right to deport people from coming here. We should take away the incentives for them to be here. Number one, primarily, is the idea that they could stay. You have any idea how many people are going to come into this country illegally if they think that they can stay? It's freaking unbelievable. And the craziest part here, the craziest part is you don't even talk about the incentive. They don't even mention the incentives of why children are coming here illegally. They said that they're coming here to join their family. Well, if their family is here illegally, they shouldn't be coming here. They talk about, oh, you're going to break up families. Oh, boo-hoo. Look, you don't complain about breaking up families for any other criminal act in the country. No other. You don't hear them saying, oh, you're going to break up the family of that guy who raped that lady. What are you? You don't like children? He raped a lady. This is how even let's just say tax fraud. Oh, a very white collar crime. Okay, let's. I don't want to compare illegal immigrants to rapists, so let's compare it to taxes. Do you think that the government would have any issue prosecuting you for not paying your taxes? Are they having any concern about breaking up your family? Do you think they're going to give two craps about how your children will suffer because they sent mommy and daddy to jail? No, they don't. So they're giving preferential treatment to non-Americans. What is going on? Up is down. Our government should be looking out for us first and foremost, but we got people like these freaking progressives and socialists that think that we're the world soup kitchen.
Yes, you can, because the question you were asking me were about children seeking asylum. And we have laws. That was the most critical thing I said. Under our laws. I would like to see those laws changed. I would like to see added to them a guaranteed counsel and other support for children. But if you're asking about everyone who's already...
Guaranteed counsel. Again, what you're saying is that you're going to... This is the very first thing she said. She wants to change the laws, and she wants to make it so that children coming here have guaranteed counsel to help them navigate through this process in our legal system. First of all, I have a problem with this. I don't know how you feel. I don't want my money, my tax money, your tax money, if you oppose this, to be used to give counsel to an illegal immigrant. That's the government is paying for that. I don't want that. I don't want my money. And again, this is all putting more tax burden on the American citizen. What about us? Don't we have the priority? Why are we forced to come out of pocket for somebody who didn't have the respect for our laws in the first place? Throw their asses back in Mexico.
Here, undocumented immigrants, the 12 million who are living here. My priorities are to deport violent criminals, terrorists, and anyone who threatens our safety. So I do not have the same policy as the current administration does. I think it's important that we move toward comprehensive immigration reform, but at the same time, stop the raids, stop the roundups, stop the deporting of people who are living here, doing their lives, doing their jobs, and that's my priority.
But again, yes or no?
Yeah, she still went in. Yes or no? Would you deport illegal immigrants, and would you deport children? Still didn't answer it. Again, Hillary is wily, very wily. Now Jorge Ramos, being a bulldog, he's going to back her in a corner and make sure she answers yes or no.
Can you promise tonight that you won't deport children who are already here?
I will not deport children. I would not deport children.
What kind of incentive is this? FYI, first of all, what kind of incentive is it to say that I'm not going to deport children? What do you think will happen? Let's just look at a study of just economics and human behavior. When the government says they're not going to deport children, do you think that you're going to have an increase or a decrease in the amount of children who are coming here unaccompanied? Do you think that's going to increase or decrease when you have a policy, an open policy, that you're going to just allow this to happen? Is it going to increase or decrease? Of course it's going to increase. More people are going to come here. Second question, what kind of parent sends their children across a freaking desert in very dangerous situations, put them in the hands of a criminal organization, a coyote? What kind of parent allows their children to do that, period, but do that alone? It's unbelievable. It's disgusting. Anyway, we're going to cut to a commercial break. When we come back, we're going to wrap up with this Hillary Clinton segment. We're going to talk more about this. We've got a lot of other news. We're going to be in the third hour of the program. If you have anything you would like to add to the program, you got anything on your mind, give us a call. The number to the show is 360-450-5625. We'll be right back.
Oath Keepers is a nonpartisan association of current active duty military, reserve, guard, veterans, peace officers, and firefighters who will fulfill the oath we swore, with the support of like-minded citizens who take an oath to stand with us, to support and defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. So help us God. Join us at oathkeepers.org.
Support On The Move. Help us make this podcast bigger and better. You can do this by going to our store and purchasing one of our hundreds of products. All designs are original and made for patriots like you. Just go to cafepress.com/OnTheMoveShow. We appreciate your support. Hi, I'm Latasha Worley, and I work with candidates to creatively and effectively communicate their message to voters. I offer professional graphic design services, from yard signs to flyers, from logos to vehicle magnets. Email me today at latashaworley@gmail.com. That's LATOSHA Worley@gmail.com for a quote on items for your campaign.
Broadcasting from deep within the heartland of free America, where liberty still shines bright. You're listening to On the Move with Mac Worley III.
So we're talking about Hillary Clinton's open border policies. By the way, welcome to the program if you're just joining us. This is a third hour. This is our overdrive hour. This is where we cram in everything that we didn't get a chance to talk about earlier. We're going to be focusing on politics for this third hour, and we're wrapping up Hillary Clinton's segment. Right now, she's talking about how she will not deport children and will not deport illegals who have no criminal record. Again, I've already mentioned that the criminal record aspect here, their very first act in the country was to commit a crime. They entered the country illegally. Therefore, they have a criminal record. Every single one of them, every illegal immigrant is a criminal because they are illegal. You know, the advocates for open borders and all of this amnesty crap, they're saying no such person is illegal. No one is illegal. Yes, you can be an illegal immigrant. Your mere presence being here outside the bounds of our legal process is illegal. Hence, we have legal and illegal. So we're talking about these kids, these unaccompanied minors coming into the country illegally. What kind of parents would do that? Why would you do that? Would the bold statement of saying that we're not going to deport unaccompanied minors, that will obviously increase the amount of unaccompanied minors coming into the country. But let's ask, what incentive is there to have an unaccompanied minor into the country? Well, let me explain. If you give them legal status, if you make them a citizen, if you give them the ability to vouch for the people still in Mexico, all right, they're exploiting their children. That's the most disgusting part about this, is the parents are exploiting their children for citizenship. Because what happens, you've heard of an anchor baby. This is kind of similar to that. What will happen is the kid comes into the country, he or she gets a legal status, becomes a citizen, then they can sponsor the rest of their family to come over on a visa, and eventually they overstay on their visa. And now, broad amnesty, if they don't have a criminal record, we're just going to let them stay. This is we're going to get more of this. You give them amnesty, you give them the ability to vote. They're instantly a Democrat voter. Goodbye, Republican Party. If we don't kill ourselves anyway, if we don't destroy the GOP within ourselves with everything that's going on. But Clinton goes on. She continues. Jorge Ramos continues to back her against the wall in this, and here she goes.
I do not want to deport family members either, Jorge. I want to, as I said, prioritize who would be deported. Violent criminals, people planning terrorist attacks, anybody who threatens us. That's a relatively small universe.
So I want to be very specific. So you're telling us tonight that if you become president, you won't deport children who are already here?
I will not.
And that you won't deport immigrants who don't have a criminal record?
That's what I'm telling you. Now,
boom.
I don't want, because I'm not contradicting what I told you in the interview. Asylum is a particular legal process. I'd like to see it change. I'd like to see us give more support to people who come fleeing the terrible violence that they do. But under our law, we have a process we have to go through, which is different.
You would stop those deportations?
I would stop
the deportations for children?
Yes.
And those who don't have a criminal record?
Of the people, the undocumented people living in our country, I do not want to see them deported. I want to see them on a path to citizenship. That is exactly what I will do.
That's exactly what she's going to do. She's going to give them a legal path to citizenship. They came here legally. The very first act was to disrespect our laws. Again, I am of the opinion, and this is just me, that the best tactic, I completely agree with immigration as a process. I think it's a process we can use to enrich our country. Now, I believe in what is essentially egoism. My philosophy, let me backpedal here. We'll go off into the weeds a little bit. The way I look at things is that no one should ever try to do something that they don't want to do. You should never be forced to or guilted into doing something. You should never do anything out of obligation. What you should do is exactly what you want to do. You should be selfish in regards to what you want to do. I believe in egoism. And now I'm not saying be selfish, never do anything for anyone. I'm saying do what you want to do. Don't let anyone tell you to do something against your will. I believe in voluntarism. But whatever you want, if it makes you feel good inside, if you get something out of it, if you want to give to some other human being, you want to be kind, that's what you want, do it. But don't let somebody else force you to do something against your will. Don't feel guilted, pressure. And this whole idea of altruism, where it's like you're supposed to do good for others. You're supposed to be selfless. It's impossible to be selfless. It's actually an act of futility to try to be selfless. So the whole idea of being 100% selfless, this goal is unattainable. What it does is it kills any kind of drive that you have and makes you feel bad about yourself. Embrace the selfishness. Be a selfish person. In regards to how I say, do what you want to do. Live your life the way you want to live it. Don't allow someone to kill your drive, your ambition, and make you feel bad because you can never achieve this utopian dream that no one in the history of our planet has ever fully achieved, of 100% pure selflessness. You can't get it. You can't obtain that. It's impossible. And then to feel bad because of it is ridiculous. So I think that we as individuals should do that, but also as a country, we should act in our own best interest. We shouldn't, first of all, not be expected to be purely selfless. Again, we are not a soup kitchen. We're not a charitable organization. Yes, we're the most charitable country in the world. But we do that because we want to, not because some international court or international community pressures us and guilts us into doing that. We have to look out for our own. Number one, you look out for your family first, am I right? Well, we're all essentially a family, very distant family, but nonetheless, we are brothers and sisters in the same country. Now, regarding what's in our own best interest, I think looking at immigration, in considering immigration here, what's the best way that we can use this? It's a tool. It's a tool to enrich our country. What's the best way that we can use this? Would it be to flood our country with approximately somewhere between 11 and 22 million illegal immigrants or more, who mostly are unskilled laborers? Would that be the most wise thing to do? No, it would not. Unskilled labor is the bottom rung on the ladder of success, the bottom rung. Now, I'm not trying to offend anybody out there who's an unskilled laborer. There's no judgment. I happen to have done a lot of unskilled labor. So, but admittedly, it's the bottom rung on the success ladder. You hope to get past that. Usually, that's an entry-level job, a job where a lot of high school kids typically get it. But now high school kids aren't able to get jobs. This is one of the most difficult economies to get a job in that we've seen in recent years. And if we just suddenly make it totally legal, give them legal status, allow them to work perfectly over the table, that's up to 22 million or more people who will now be competing for these bottom-level rung jobs, which means they're literally going to be taking jobs away from Americans now. Let's look out for our fellow Americans and not do this. How we can use immigration to benefit ourselves is simple. We get people who will do something good for the country. And I'm not pulling a Donald Trump here and saying, oh, it's going to be great. We're going to make America great. It's going to be huge. It's going to be tremendous. No, I'm not doing that. What I'm saying, we actually try to be selective in the process. We look at what kind of jobs we need people in. Do we need engineers? Okay, we do need engineers. So let's go ahead and get some engineers from another country, and let's look through all the resumes and find out who is going to be the best pick. Who do we think is the most qualified candidate? Just like a job hiring. This is exactly what we're talking about. We look and we try to find people to fill gaps. We never use it to take an American's job. How they're trying to use the visa programs right now, they're trying to actually, like, for example, Disney. I just read a story not too long ago. Disney is taking jobs away from Americans and giving it to visa workers they're able to get paid less than these guys. So they're getting paid the rate from their country, from their home country, at the original pay rate that they're supposed to get from their home country. And Disney's able to pay them that rate. So the Americans can't compete. There's no way we can compete with the foreign wages. And Disney is making these people, as part of their pension, as part of their severance package, they're making them train their foreign replacements coming in on visas. We should never do it that way. So what we should do is, for example, nursing. I know that's a high demand job. There's not enough people to fill that position. We should bring in foreigners who are the best of the best, the cream of the crop. We can hand select everybody out there and take from them. Take from all the other countries their best of the best. Bring them here. We want them. And we also want them in the areas where we need them. Now, if, for example, we have too many doctors, it doesn't make sense to bring in doctors from foreign countries. That's not a good idea. So we should not do that. We should also bring in people who want to start their own business if they have a plan, entrepreneurs, people who already have a business, maybe internationally already, and they want to move to America and continue that, start an American version here. That's great too. That's awesome. If they're gonna open up a factory or something, create American jobs. That's awesome. Bring those people. That's how we use this immigration system. Now, you have to bring something to the table. And number two, you shouldn't have any kind of criminal activity in your background. We should make sure that we're being selective. The person coming here should have to have a burden of proof that they're not a danger to us in any way. Are they connected to any kind of dangerous terrorist organization? Do they come from a country that has these dangerous terrorist organizations running amok? Probably a question we should ask, and we should maybe consider that when we're bringing people in. There's millions of people who want to come into this country. Let's actually be selective in the process. Now, I'm not saying that we outright, if you come from Saudi Arabia or something, that we shouldn't allow you into the country. But what I am saying is that it's very likely that there's going to be some other highly qualified candidates from countries that don't have terrorists. Perhaps we should look at them first. Perhaps. I don't know, but now here's Bernie Sanders. He's pretty much echoing Hillary Clinton. He's saying that he's going to do the same damn thing.
Senator Sanders, can you promise us tonight that you won't deport children?
Let me just say this. I don't think that the Secretary fully answered your question. And I think the proof may be in the pudding. Honduras...
Did somebody say pudding?
In that region of the world may be the most violent region in our hemisphere. Gang lords, vicious people, torturing people, doing horrible things to families. Children fled that part of the world to try, maybe, to meet up with their family members in this country, taking a route that was horrific, trying to start a new life. Secretary Clinton did not support those children coming into this country. I did. Now, I happen to agree with President Obama on many, many issues. I think he's done a great job as President of the United States. He is wrong on this issue of deportation. I disagree with him on that.
Again, those numbers are cooked. He's actually not deporting more people than anyone else. He's actually deporting less, a lot less, substantially less people than he's reporting. The government numbers are cooked, as usual.
So to answer your question, no, I will not deport children from the United States of America.
And can you promise not to deport immigrants who don't have a criminal record?
I can make that promise.
So again, both of these people are for completely wide open borders. Just come on in, roll out the red carpet. Feel free. We'll have a big line of Americans with their pockets available for you to reach into on your way in. Just go ahead and just grab whatever you can. Feel free. It's a free-for-all. Everybody, send your kids. Why not? Hey, by the way, if it's so dangerous in Mexico, if it's such a crappy situation in Mexico, then why is the PewHispanic.org website, Pew Research Center, looking at Hispanic trends, saying that more Mexicans are leaving than coming to the U.S.? There's been a net loss of 140,000 from 2009 to 2014. So if it's so bad in Mexico, why are so many people leaving? I wonder. Anyway, let's go ahead and get to some other news in politics today. I must talk about Ted Cruz's new endorsements. Let's get it right now. Here we go. The video is loading. I'm sorry. You're going to have to listen to my robot voice. Here we go. Ted Cruz got an endorsement from Mike Lee.
Good afternoon. My name is Mike Lee. I'm a senator from the state of Utah. I'm here today to announce my endorsement of Ted Cruz.
Bam. Quick. All right. So that's a really important move for Ted Cruz. First of all, everybody knows the record as a conservative for Mike Lee. Mike Lee has waited this long. He's a little late to the party, I would say, but he's waited this long because he's both friends with Ted Cruz and Marco Rubio. So he waited until it was clear that Marco Rubio had no mathematical possibility of being the presidential nominee. So that's why he's now coming out with this. But, Mike Lee, I know his record. I've seen what he's done. I think this is one hell of an endorsement. And the fact that it's Ted Cruz's first endorsement from a senator a sitting senator is important. Also, another big endorsement that Ted Cruz got was Carly Fiorina. She came out this week, I believe it was on the 9th, if I'm remembering correctly, that she announced her endorsement. Here it is.
I am very pleased to introduce to you somebody you know very well, Ms. Carly Fiorina.
Well, thank you so much for that warm Miami-Dade welcome. It is indeed a great privilege and pleasure to stand on the stage today. Thank you. You know, I ran for the presidency because I think it's time to take our country back.
And then she goes on to say that she looked at the ballot when she went in to vote for the nominee for the GOP, and she saw her name, and that was pretty awesome, and she decided to vote for Ted Cruz anyway. And then she told everyone why. Pretty awesome stuff. So since we're on the Ted Cruz topic, let's go ahead and talk about, actually, you know what, let's talk about some other endorsements. Since we're on the endorsement topic, let's stick to the endorsement, then we'll come back to Ted Cruz. So Ben Carson, he also came out and endorsed Donald Trump. And do you guys, I really got to ask, Carson supporters out there, hit me on Twitter at OnTheMoveShow, Facebook.com/OnTheMoveShow, or call me, please. Don't leave me hanging, gang. 360-450-5625. You're a Carson supporter, or you're even interested in this situation, you're listening to the sound of my voice, please let me know. Do you think that that Ben Carson has betrayed his supporters in some ways? Now, again, I'm not a Ben Carson supporter. I happen to think that the guy is a good man. You know, I thought so. But if I was a Ben Carson supporter, I would be upset. I would be very upset right now that he went and endorsed Donald Trump. And this is what he had to say about Donald Trump after the endorsement.
First of all, I've come to know Donald Trump over the last few years. He is actually a very intelligent man who cares deeply about America. There are two different Donald Trumps. There's the one you see on the stage, and there's the one who's very cerebral, sits there and considers things very carefully. You can have a very good conversation with him.
So let me ask you, first of all, do you want somebody who is essentially two-faced? That's what he just said. There's the public Donald and the private Donald. There's the Donald that he wants you to see and the Donald that he actually is. This is the endorsement. I don't really consider this an endorsement. This, to me, is a warning. There are two Donald Trumps. As I've been saying for a long time, Donald Trump is a progressive. He's claiming to be a common-sense conservative. He's different than he really shows himself to be. It's crazy. This is nuts. So, what do you think, gang? Do you think that this is a betrayal? Do you think that this should be considered a betrayal if you were a Ben Carson supporter? Do you feel betrayed? Do you feel like your trust was misplaced? I would. That's just me. I'm just curious what you all think about that. So, anyway, especially the things that Donald Trump has said, I'm really surprised. Look, I get the fact that he didn't want to endorse Ted Cruz because of the whole Iowa thing. He thinks that he played dirty tricks on him. Again, we've covered that. That was CNN's fault. CNN is the ones that reported falsely that something was going on. It's weird. Maybe he's getting out of the race. Something along those lines. Like it was obviously CNN's fault. Ted Cruz simply repeated the report, and it wasn't even Cruz himself. It was his campaign reported what CNN reported. They were just reiterating the report that was already out there. And CNN is blaming Ted Cruz, and then Ben Carson says it's dirty tricks from the Ted Cruz campaign. I get it. Look, he's upset about that. Donald Trump quickly came to his defense, and again, Donald Trump's just looking for a way to slam Ted Cruz. He doesn't give a crap about Ben Carson. The only thing Donald Trump cares about Donald Trump. That's it. He's not trying to defend Ben Carson. He's just looking for an excuse to attack Ted Cruz, to call him Lion Ted Cruz, to attack his biggest strength, the fact that he's a man of his word. What he says, he means. By the way, one of the things, our biggest point here, that we'll be able to show how Ted Cruz really has consistently been a man of his word. He said he would fight Obamacare. He did. He continues to fight against his own party. He's been anti-establishment, working from within the system to fight the corruption within the GOP, the do-nothingness, the not wanting to fight and actually use the checks and balances that our founding fathers gave us to fight this progressive bullcrap being shoved down our throat, to stop them from passing omnibus bill after omnibus bill, to continue to steal trillions of dollars of your money to fund things like Planned Parenthood, by the way. I mean, it's crazy. So all of this stuff that Donald Trump has said about Ben Carson, and Ben Carson still endorses him. Here's the clip. Donald Trump talking about Ben Carson, how he's pathological, and he compares him to a child molester.
Pathological. Somebody said he has pathological disease. Other people said, he said in the book, I haven't seen it, I know it's in the book, that he's got a pathological temper or temperament. That's a big problem, because you don't cure that. That's like, I could say, they'd say you don't cure, as an example, child molester. You don't cure these people. You don't cure a child molester. There's no cure for it. Pathological, there's no cure for that.
So I get that Ben Carson doesn't want to support Ted Cruz because he feels that he played some dirty trick, which he didn't. But Ted Cruz never called him a child molester. He never compared him to one. He never said he was pathological. The stuff that Donald Trump said was disgusting about Ben Carson, and it just blows me away that he would come to endorse him. It's just unbelievable. Again, we were talking about Donald Trump attacking Ted on his most beneficial quality of being a man of his word. And we're going to see, I wish he wouldn't be a man of his word on this occasion, but I based on his past performance, I have a feeling that he is going to stick to his word when he said that he will support the eventual nominee, the eventual GOP nominee, whoever that is. And if it's Donald Trump, Ted Cruz said that he would support him. So that means that he's not going to be running against him as a independent candidate. He's not going to be even denouncing him. He's going to support. We'll see after this is all said and done what happens if Donald Trump gets a nomination. Excuse me. If after Donald Trump gets a nomination, if Ted Cruz keeps his word on that, we'll see. I mean, I think he will. By the way, I don't think Marco will, by the way. Marco just recently said, I think it was today, he was saying that, he wants to keep his promise about supporting the eventual GOP nominee, but it's getting harder and harder with every day. I mean, that's just crazy. Yeah, I believe that he's probably going to try to run against Donald Trump if he actually gets a nomination. So I want to play something here. Let's kind of go through for the Ted Cruz thing here. I want to play a clip of Ted Cruz talking about his wife. She was on the Council of Foreign Relations. Some people say that she was the architect of the North American Union, the suggestion for that. This is not the case. According to Ted Cruz says that she's been on this council as a dissenting voice trying to put out stand up for conservative principles. And nowhere, even in the articles that all these alternative media sites keep saying that Ted Cruz is owned by the bank, Ted Cruz is supported by Goldman Sachs, Ted Cruz his wife was on the Council of Foreign Relations, she's the architect of the North American Union. None of these articles have any evidence. They're all accusations, and then they're coupled with statements from Ted Cruz where he's saying that she was a dissenting voice on these things. She wasn't the architect, she was opposing it. Have you ever participated in something like a vote of protest? Have you ever done anything that you voted against what was going on? That's like saying that voting against Hillary is the same thing as supporting Hillary. It's not the same thing. It's a vote of dissent. Here, Ted Cruz, his own words when asked on his wife's connection to the Council on Foreign Relations.
Look, what do you say to allegations that your family's connections to the Council on Foreign Relations could influence your campaign?
You know, it's kind of interesting. There are opponents in this race who have taken to attacking my wife. And I'll say several things to that. First of all, it's pretty revealing. When you see opponents in a campaign attacking a candidate's wife, my wife's not running for office, I am. And the fact that they are targeting my wife, and what they're targeting is she was, for a brief period, what's called a term member of the Council on Foreign Relations. There are thousands of term members of the Council on Foreign Relations. She joined it when she stepped down. She was in the Bush administration, and she joined it as one of the few conservatives who's part of the Council on Foreign Relations, trying to push for conservative outcomes.
There you go. Trying to push for conservative outcomes. All right, so abandoning these kind of first of all, I don't think the Council of Foreign Relations, most of these organizations could probably be dissolved, but they exist, and they are part of a power structure. To completely abandon these power structures is pretty dangerous as a conservative. If you're conservative, libertarian, you don't think these things should exist, or you don't like the efforts that they're trying to push, it's not a wise idea to completely abandon them to the progressives. I've had a conversation with a friend on Facebook, good guy. He believes that it's better that we just don't vote, because voting is actually trying to you're actually voting for someone to rule you. He thinks that it's important that you abstain from voting, because to vote is voting for a ruler. Look, I completely disagree with this. First of all, our forefathers, they fought for this country. They envisioned a system of government that would have minimal federal influence in your life. They created a constitution that was supposed to protect us, but we are supposed to continue to enforce it. We're supposed to make changes if we need to continue to curb the government. That's why they gave us an amendment process. The government has continued to chip away and chip away and chip away at our rights. The government has continued to expand. What we have to do is not abandon the process, not abandon the system. I love this country. I think we had and currently still have something worth fighting for. We have a system of government already in place that's designed for us to be involved, to take part in the process. It's designed to give us a voice in government. My friend thinks that it's best that we abandon it and just work on the philosophy, and eventually the system will just go away because we'll ignore it. That's what he believes. He's entitled to his beliefs. I disagree. I think that's not the way to go. You abandon the system's not going to go away. First of all, we're not going to get enough people in a quick enough amount of time, maybe over 100 years, 200 years, if we actually enforce a 200-year plan to actually join our movement, to join our way of thinking. Maybe, possibly, one day we can convince enough people to think the way that we do, to follow the beliefs of free markets and less government, a minarchist style government. But to all at once, just up and pack up your bags and abandon the system that's currently in place, what's going to happen? The only people that are going to be in there are the people that are progressives, that are calling for more government, that are trying to use this system to coercively force other people to do things. You try ignoring that, you're going to wind up like Finicum. I'm sorry. I maybe that's harsh to say, but that's what's going to happen. They will use the coercive force how they see fit. We participate in this form of government by being a dissenting voice, just like Heidi Cruz is trying to do. This could be all lies. It could be propaganda. Based upon the past evidence that we've seen from Ted Cruz, everything he's done in his entire life, pre-working for the government, pre-being in Senate, he has opposed collectivism, he has opposed internationalism, he's opposed globalism, federalism, he's been an advocate for states' rights, the Constitution. That's all I'm saying, gang. I think we can't abandon the system. What do you want? Do you want to, again, think about how long it's taken, hundreds of years for the philosophy to even be thought up. Imagine back when there were kings, there were peoples. You had amazing English philosophers who were first thinking about ideas like individualism and sovereignty and things along those lines. People ruling themselves, the social contract theory, all of these things. These are original ideas that are first being thought of by these English philosophers, and they're really thinking about like, oh well, let's see. Right now we have kings. Could things be different? Let's follow the rational thought. These amazing, great thinkers of the past. It took hundreds of years for these ideas to start to propagate. And because of things like individualism, free markets, things along those lines where you don't harness these systems. You don't harness the markets and try to coercively force them to do things and use them how you will. You actually try to use the least amount of coercion possible in a system and try to allow people to use their own natural forces. Let the natural market forces work the way that they will. And then they found out that by allowing the market forces to work on their own and not coerce them to do something, the free market actually had some unintended consequences. And one of them is that it was better at determining what to do, what to invest in, how to move things. People, their own sovereignty, their ability to decide through incentive of how it benefits them personally. It came with all these unexpected consequences of growth and economic development. And these ideas that these English philosophers thought of, they began to spread. And they went to countries, and then so much progress and development and all of these benefits that came from these ideas then start to get overlooked. These ideas, we're talking hundreds of years. All right, people stopped and they did the same thing I was talking about earlier. They said, oh, well, all these ideas that allowed for the progress that we made, the development, the growth, all of these wonderful ideas that allowed us to get these benefits. What are these benefits worth having? All of these freedoms, all of the economic growth that we've created, the individual liberty. What is it worth having these things if we don't have economic freedom? And then they started turning to socialism and collectivism and redistribution of wealth, and they moved away from the very system that created the freedom and the development, the prosperity in the first place. They started moving directly away from those ideas, and that took decades. And then we started seeing things like fascism with Nazism, which is directly related to Marxism and socialism and communism. Fascism is just an offshoot of Marxism. Can't exist without Marxist German philosophy, which took a long time to propagate through these countries and create National Socialism. Ideas. The ideas are great. I completely agree with trying to propagate the ideas. The guy I was talking about, that I agree. We should continue to propagate those ideas, but abandoning the system, no. Leaving the system to the progressives? Just handing it over to them without putting up a fight? Again, this is the system that our founders fought for, died for, paid for in blood. You abandon the system, the progressives take it over. Then the only way to, because they're going to game the system at that point, the only way to affect change will be another revolution, and it's not going to happen the way that you want it to. I'm sorry. Historically speaking, revolutions do not end up favorably. They always end up badly. They always end up bloody, first of all. You're going to end up having to fight your own people. I don't want to see a civil war. I don't want to see Americans killing Americans. Who wants to see that? Secondly, I don't want a civil war, a revolution that starts over trying to get freedom, end up being hijacked once again, as it's been historically done over and over by the socialists. I don't want this. It's not going to end up well. The reason why America actually was different, because these people that came to the country in the first place, the people who migrated to America, left Great Britain, they came over here to get rid of the oppressive government that they faced. They wanted religious freedom. So many people left for religious freedom. So they created colonies that respected their right to religion. It was uncanny, like never before. These state governments, local governments were formed, and they actually allowed people to express themselves, have freedom. They created charters of rights and things along those lines. And then when the government started oppressing the rights that they were used to having because of all these years of being away from Great Britain and having this freedom and being used to it and wanting it, this was still a generation that was used to this stuff. and demanded it. And they continue to get oppressed by the government year after year. They continue to try to redress their government and were ignored and, in fact, spurned when they actually stood up against the government and said no. Then they were slaughtered. Then they rose up and fought against the government. And luckily, we had founders with enough foresight to think, hey, maybe instead of trying to impose a new, massively, again, there were people that were doing this, a massively big federal government with all the controlled mechanisms, because this is usually what happens in a revolution. The revolutionaries end up installing the same exact control mechanisms of the government in the new government that they opposed in the old government. So the founders realized that, hey, maybe we should make this impossible, make it very difficult to install these control mechanisms, put a Bill of Rights, those kind of things. I mean, this is why that revolution went differently. A lot of it hinged on religious liberty. The people coming here to flee the oppression of Great Britain, looking for religious liberty. So that's why it's different. That's why we can't abandon these kind of systems that we have in place. Do you support the Constitution? I do. I don't want a revolution. Maybe one day we can get to a completely voluntary society. I honestly don't think that anarchism is the way to go about it. I'm a minarchist. I think that minimal government, the only time where government is actually beneficial in some areas is when you can't use the natural forces out there. You can't use what is natural. I want to use the least amount of coercion possible. I acknowledge that a military is important. As far as, I have differences of opinion. I think that we should have an Air Force. I think we should have a Navy. I think most of the inland security should be based on militias. But I happen to think that some forms of taxation for the government to make sure we control our borders and police ourselves, along those lines, I think some aspects of taxation are necessary, but I do acknowledge that they're coercion. And I want to have the least amount of coercion possible, which is why I want the smallest government possible. Because the bigger it is, the more we have to take. The more that comes out of your pocket, my pocket. I want the least amount of coercion possible. Let the free market handle everything else that cannot be handled by harnessing the natural forces of the market. Anyway, Ted Cruz, he's still talking about his wife's connection to the Council on Foreign Relations. I'm going to backtrack just a little bit. You hear the rest of his statement on this.
She was in the Bush administration, and she joined it as one of the few conservatives who's part of the Council on Foreign Relations, trying to push for conservative outcomes. John Bolton is a member of the Council on Foreign Relations. There are a handful that do so. The fact, though, that some of my opponents are attacking my wife is revealing. What I will say is I will suggest, if someone's worried about that, the reason they're worried about it is the attack is suggesting that I would be less than a full-throated defender of U.S. sovereignty. And that's what my opponents are trying to do. And actually, the person pushing it is David Dewhurst. Now, what he's doing is he's trying to encourage other candidates of mine to attack me on that front, because all he wants to do is divide conservatives, Tea Party activists, libertarians, because if we're divided, he wins. That's his objective, is to divide everyone. So let me suggest this. If you hear a candidate raising this, if you hear a supporter for a candidate raising this, ask, okay, tell me what your candidate has done ever in his entire life to stand up and defend U.S. sovereignty. The irony of this attack is the biggest case of my tenure as Solicitor General was Medellin versus Texas. In Medellin,
I have told you about this. He's going to explain it further. This is my exact point. Why would Ted Cruz continue to fight against the biggest government programs out there? Federalism. He wants to audit the Fed. He wants to get rid of the IRS, get rid of the EPA, completely hamstring, get rid of all these subsidies. He went against corn subsidies in Iowa and won. Tell me Ted Cruz hasn't done anything to stand up against big government, against globalism? Come on, get real. This guy has done so many things over and over and won.
The World Court, the judicial arm of the United Nations, issued an order to the United States to reopen the convictions of 51 murderers across this country. And on behalf of the state of Texas, I stood up, I fought the World Court, I fought the United Nations, I fought the President of the United States, who was from my own party. It was George.
Some big old globalist here, right? Yeah, this guy, he's a big old globalist, you know. He might as well be going to the Bilderberg and all this other stuff. He's a member of the Illuminati, all this, you know. Yeah, big old globalist. He's fighting globalism. He's fighting the UN and winning.
W. Bush. But I went before the U.S. Supreme Court and said no president has the constitutional authority to give away U.S. sovereignty. And I won 6-3. I've got a proven record, and there's no candidate in this race that has any record of ever standing up to the UN. There's no candidate in any Senate race in the country who has a comparable record of standing up, fighting for U.S. sovereignty, and winning. And so the irony of this attack is it shows how desperate my opponents are, that they want to slander my wife rather than addressing the records. And the reason is they don't have an answer. I ask any of you, if you're listening to another candidate, ask them. Don't give me a speech. Lots of candidates can give a speech. I hate the UN. That's easy to say. Ask, what have you done? Have you ever once stood up and fought the UN and defended U.S. sovereignty? And if they haven't, you ought to maybe discount the speech they're giving on an election stump just a little bit.
Boom. Mic drop. Seriously, man. I don't get how, at this point, with all the information out there, how you can continue to, even if she's connected to these things and not a dissenting voice. First of all, you judge someone for the connections that his wife has. I have a fundamental problem with this. I don't agree with judging people for the actions of others that they do not control. Some of the actions we're talking about are things that it was before they were even together. So how are you gonna judge a man for something else? Again, you ever disagree with your wife on anything? You ever disagree with your significant other? Yeah, of course you have. Everybody disagrees because that's the beauty of life. You don't have to agree with everybody. We're not robots. All right, you can have disagreements of opinion. It's fine. It's encouraged. But with all the information out there, you can see his record. He's the only candidate with a proven track record of standing up against not only his own party, but the international community who's trying to infringe upon sovereignty. He's stood up for states' rights against the federal government. So we got some comments here on Facebook and Twitter. Dee says that this is in reference to Ben Carson throwing his support behind Donald Trump. She says she's listening, but no one has my support. They're all a joke, and America should demand candidates that are serious about the job of POTUS instead of turning the whole ordeal into a circus. I agree with you. I really do agree with you as far as it being a circus. This thing has been crazy this year. I honestly think it's only going to get worse from here on out, gang. I've heard rumor that, now I could be wrong about this, but I think that Will Smith is talking about running for president. I can't remember where I heard that. Maybe it was a joke or something. I can't recall. Double check that. Don't believe me on that one. But I know Kanye West is talking about running for president in 2020. I honestly think that Idiocracy is sinking in here. Have you ever seen that movie, Idiocracy? It's this guy, he ends up, I can't remember how, I think he's frozen or something, and he becomes unfrozen in the future somehow, like I think hundreds or thousands of years or something in America, and they got like a pro wrestler as the president of the United States, and it's like everybody is a bunch of freaking idiots because all they do is they watch TV and they are essentially mindless drones. This guy, who's not even particularly that smart in his current age, when he goes to the future, he's the smartest man in the world. It's hilarious. It's a hilarious movie. Check it out, Idiocracy. I'm not getting paid for them, but I will gladly accept Idiocracy money. Let me get that big Idiocracy money, everybody. Woo! Anyway, so on Twitter, Mark says, Carson was never my guy, but his support of Donald Trump goes against everything he said he was, especially being a Christian. I completely agree. Like I said, I would feel like a gut punch. I was surprised. I was really shocked when I heard that he was supporting Donald Trump. That blew me away. So let's go ahead and skim through. We got a bunch of other stuff here I want to try to get through. We got 12 minutes left in the program. I'm probably not going to get to a lot of this here. But Rubio urging his voters in Ohio to choose John Kasich freaking crazy. You ever heard of this before from any person still running? Hey, vote for the other guy. Here we go.
Yeah, if a voter in Ohio is motivated by stopping Donald Trump and comes to the conclusion that John Kasich is the only one who can beat him there, then I expect that's the decision they'll make. I can tell you that in Florida, I'm the only one that can beat Donald Trump. And whether someone supports Ted Cruz or John Kasich, if you vote for them in Florida, you're in essence voting for Donald Trump. And if a voter reaches the same conclusion in Ohio, then I think that's what they're going to do as well.
So are you joining forces with John Kasich?
I've never talked to John Kasich about this. You asked me a question. I'm giving you my observation. Clearly, John Kasich has a better chance of winning Ohio than I do. And if a voter in Ohio concludes that voting for John Kasich gives us the best chance to stop Donald Trump there, I anticipate that's what they'll do.
That's pretty crazy. So, and then on top of that, John Kasich did not return the favor. He did not say that his supporters in Florida, where he has absolutely no chance of winning the nomination in Florida, John Kasich will not return the favor. According to WashingtonPost.com, article titled "Kasich Won't Return Rubio's Favor in Florida," written by Jim Tankersley, March 11th. He said, if I've got supporters somewhere in the country and I'm on the ballot, they kind of ought to vote for me, Kasich said. I mean, what kind of deal would it be if I told my people don't vote for me? So he's not returning the favor. He's not playing this game. And again, this is all about the electorate. Somebody has told Marco Rubio that it's going to be all great if we go to a broker convention. Well, what will happen if Donald Trump has the majority, even if he doesn't have the amount of votes or delegates needed to get into the nomination? If he doesn't get that outright, if he has the majority and it goes to a broker convention and he doesn't come out with the nomination, Donald Trump doesn't come out with the nomination, it's going to be it. That's it for the GOP. Goodbye, GOP. It's over. Now, I'm never going to vote for Donald Trump, and you guys vote with your conscience. Do what you want. I will never ever vote for a Donald Trump. Just because I'm hashtag never Trump doesn't mean I'm hashtag ready for Hillary. I'm always never Hillary. I'm also never progressive. So I can't vote for either Donald Trump or Hillary Clinton because they're both progressives. Can't do it. Won't do it. So, Marco, get out. Kasich, get out. That's the only option. You are blocking Ted Cruz from getting delegates. That's the only thing that's going on. You know, I've heard people talk about, I'm from Ohio. What should I do, Mac? Should I vote for Kasich in Ohio? I'm not voting for anyone that I couldn't see my name beside. This is such a critical time in history, gang. There's so much going on right now, so much that could go wrong. I'm not trying to be a fearmonger. I'm trying to make sure you are aware of the situation we're in. When we look back in history and somebody asks, what did you do to divert this? Where were you when America came tumbling down? Are you going to answer, I voted for John Kasich, the guy who is a progressive, he believes in climate change, that it's a man-made thing, that you can somehow pass a law and change the weather? Are you going to believe that? Or are you going to say that that's what you were doing at this period of time? Or are you going to say you voted with your conscience? Because I don't want my name connected with progressives. I don't want someone to look back in history and say, where were you? And I have to answer, I was in the voting booth voting for John Kasich or even Marco Rubio. I'm sorry to the Rubio supporters. I believe in the Constitution, and I have a major issue. The biggest issue with Marco Rubio is the fact that he supports NSA bulk spying and continuing to propagate these warrantless searches on every single human electronic communication by the NSA. I have a fundamental problem with this. He supports the Patriot Act. I can't vote for him. So, no, I'm not going to vote for that. The only guy I can possibly see myself voting for is Ted Cruz. I like him on a lot of things. I disagree with him on other things. Not every candidate is perfect. But if he's a man of his word and he doesn't actually run against Donald Trump as an independent, if he doesn't get the nomination, if he actually supports Donald Trump if he gets the eventual nomination, I'm voting for Gary Johnson or whatever Libertarian candidate I can vote for too. If let's hope that there's one I can vote for over there. I heard Austin Peterson is running. I'd like to see some others. Steve Corbell. I think I actually had him on the show a while back ago. But it depends on who's running. I'll look at their policies. I haven't really been paying too much attention to what's going on in the Libertarian Party these days for the presidency, other than just Gary Johnson. I've looked at a little bit of his stuff, and I've liked him from the past. So I got a clip here I want to play real fast. let's see, I'm debating. Okay, let's go with this one. Raven Simone saying that Hillary Clinton is untrusted because of the Bible.
To women. I have a problem with everybody still saying that she's untrustworthy, and I said this in the meeting, and I want to say it out here. I feel like there's this stigma since the beginning of human race that a woman is untrustworthy. It starts in the Bible. It goes through religion. Eve, not right. Adam, just Eve, because Eve is the reason stuff happened, supposedly.
Didn't she make him eat the apple or something?
She didn't. Come on now. So I feel like there's always a stigma for women, no matter what country you're in, because I even hear that, in the workplace, managers are less likely to believe female employees are using flexible work hours.
Oh, my God. Okay, so she pulls out one random study out of nowhere. By the way, who knows if that's accurate? But the point is here, Hillary Clinton, not trusted because she's a woman. Has nothing to do with the fact that she's under FBI investigation, has nothing to do with the fact that they found top secret and a bunch of classified information on her private email server, has nothing to do with the fact that she's been caught in countless lies, has nothing to do with the fact that the reputation that the Clintons have, even the fact that they cleaned out the White House and stole a whole bunch of crap after they left. Nothing to do with any of this stuff. Nothing to do with the fact that they're using a slush fund to essentially launder tons and tons of money and accept money from foreign entities while she's serving in the U.S. government as Secretary of State. Nothing to do with this. Nothing to do with the fact that she lied about Benghazi. Nothing to do with the fact that she says, what difference does it make that Americans died? Who cares, basically? These are the things. Nothing to do with any of that stuff. It's just simply because she's a woman and the Bible says that women are untrustworthy. This is the lunacy coming out of the liberal left. I mean, it's insane, and I hate to use the word liberal because they've co-opted that word. They've stole it. It used to mean the exact opposite. It used to mean liberty, the freedom to do things, the not having restraint on yourself from the government, not being restricted. Now it means the complete opposite. So one more story here quickly. I have a clip from about Obama skipping Nancy Reagan's funeral.
Nancy Reagan's funeral. Mrs. Obama's going. Can you tell us who else is going to be in the delegation?
I don't have more information about the delegation at this point. The funeral has been scheduled for Friday, and Mrs. Obama will attend.
The president's not going to attend.
The president will not attend. The president actually is traveling in Texas on Friday.
Yeah, he's going to South by Southwest. So apparently couldn't cancel that, didn't think it was important enough to go to Ronald Reagan's wife's funeral. Didn't think that was important enough, not a significant enough event. Well, how about this significant event? Russia warns North Korea over threats of nuclear strike. Russia has, this is an article on TheGuardian.com, by the way. Let's see here. Russia has warned North Korea that threats to deliver preventive nuclear strikes could create a legal basis for the use of military force against the country, suggesting that even Pyongyang's few remaining friends are growing concerned about its increasingly confrontational stance. The Russian Foreign Ministry statement, which follows a North Korean threat to annihilate the U.S. and South Korea, also criticizes Washington and Seoul for launching the largest joint military drills yet to be held on the peninsula. I happen to believe that our government is trying to instigate a reaction from North Korea. We want some kind of event. We need a war to cover up the central banking cartel, how they're bringing down the system. This is much too long of a conversation for me to get into. But anyway, Russia says we consider it absolutely impermissible to make public statements containing threats to deliver some preventative nuclear strikes against opponents, the Russian Foreign Ministry said in its response to North Korean threats. So very interesting. Anyway, that's all the time we got for today's show. I certainly appreciate you all listening, tuning in. MacPack, you're the tip of the spear. Thank you so much week after week for checking us out and listening to the program. If you like the show, hit the like button, share it with your friends. I'd certainly appreciate it. You guys, you friggin' rock. Also, don't forget we have the Bear Arms limited edition t-shirt for sale for you. Limited time only. It's only 8 more days, so don't miss out. It's on Teechip, TEECHIP.com/OnTheMoveShow. And thanks so much for tuning in, gang. Don't forget to check us out on our website, OnTheMoveShow.com. You can check us out on Spreaker.com/OnTheMoveShow. Don't forget to follow us on there. I would really appreciate that. You're helping us out significantly. significantly by doing that. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Follow us on Twitter. Again, youtube.com/OnTheMoveShow. Twitter @OnTheMoveShow. And like us on Facebook, facebook.com/OnTheMoveShow. And as always, know your rights, assert your rights, and get on the move.